on Zoom and see if there are any comments on Zoom, but to the people in the room, if you wish to make a comment, I'll ask you to go to the podium. When you offer your comment, I'd like you to provide your name, and please spell your last name so that we can make sure that we get it for the minutes. We will time everyone's comments. We give you 3 minutes. And it's our timer, and she'll let you know when you have about 30 seconds left. And what else do I need to say? Just know that this is an opportunity for us to listen and for you to be heard. So it's not a dialogue or a back and forth, it's a listening. And so you ready to hear what you have to say? And we'll start here in the room, and then we'll check in a couple of minutes and see whether we have anyone. Welcome.
Hi, Stacy Meredith, METTERNICK. I'd like to take this opportunity to reiterate my concern about the superintendent contracts being proposed tonight. According to the DESE and comparable school districts in the surrounding area, salary increases for superintendents are generally being kept between 2 to 3%. For example, Beverly, Masco, Manchester, Essex, and Grand school districts have all maintained raises within this range. We don't need to keep up with the teachers' contracts. The average superintendent is approximately $177,000, with the 90th percentile reaching around $240,000. Specifically, the superintendents in Masco, Beverly, Manchester, Essex, and Groton Dunstable earn between $200,000 and $226,000. But for example, former superintendent Dr. Mike Harvey is making $222,832 at Masco with a 2% raise, and he has a doctorate of education. The proposed contract is setting a concerning precedent that will lead to a domino effect across the district. If this contract is approved, the escalating costs may become unsustainable for the towns, especially as the school budget continues to grow with new contracts in place. Recent teacher contracts have already led to notable increases, with most educators receiving raises between 15 to 20%, and some receiving as much as 30% when cost of living and step increases are factored in. These significant raises carry substantial consequences, and I foresee budget overrides in our district's future. Although the Select Board and Finance Committee can request budget cuts, it is important to recognize that they will be unable to reduce any contractual fixed costs. Since the district is primarily employee-led, 80 to 9% or more of the budget is comprised of fixed costs. Additional non-negotiable expenses such as utilities, busing, out-of-district costs further constrain the flexibility. Ultimately, this leaves only programming as areas where cuts can be potentially made. I respectfully urge you to consider the proposed superintendent contract to ensure it aligns with practices of comparable districts. The terms of this contract will affect future negotiations with non-union members, as the HWEA will almost certainly reference these terms in their discussions. Furthermore, the contract's generous provisions could impact non-union administrative staff, such as principals and others, if they have not already done so. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other comments in the room?
You have nobody online.
Yeah, I'm sure Greenberg Road. I couldn't say it any better than this previous woman has said. I agree 100% with what she said. In addition to that, this is getting a lot of feedback.
I'm hearing you.
No, they're good.
In addition to that, I just would like to urge the school committee to move forward with a thoughts about planning for renovating a school. The public has voted to not do a consolidated school.
I'd like to see the school committee move forward with a plan that would include a renovation of one of the schools, because we do want the children to be educated well, we do want the facilities to be upgraded. The vote no was to a huge 3-story building and consolidating all the schools into a huge school. So we do want to have renovation. So I would urge you to do that, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Tracy, you said there's no one on Zoom?
One on Zoom.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak?
Debbie Romberger, Marjorie. I just wanted to go on record as saying I don't support an increase of the proposal for the number of years. I think we need to put our emphasis on reading specialists, counselors, and other positions that are directly interacting with the children. We could use more of that, particularly all up and down, all levels. So I don't support the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does she need to read your address, just for the record? Just for the minutes, no?
It's okay. I think we got.
It's okay.
Okay. Looks like I want to make sure, is anybody else in the room? We still have a couple minutes if people want to speak. Okay.
One on Zoom.
And there's no one on Zoom. Okay. All right, we'll be closing citizens' comments at this time. Thank you all very much for your comments. Do appreciate them. Next up, I'm going to ask Julia, I think, or Amy? Julia, to read a portion of the school committee protocols.
As elected members of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, we, including the superintendent, accept the high honor and trust that has been placed in us to ensure that the students of the district receive the best education possible. To that end, we hereby commit to the following in the conduct of our business. Protocol number 3, the school committee will establish a vision, create policy, approve a budget, and assure accountability to sustain continuous improvement in teaching, learning, and facilities. Members agree to leave the day-to-day operations, including business transactions, to the superintendent and staff. Members of the school committee recognize that authority rests only with the majority in its decisions.
Thank you. Next up, Amy will read a portion of our mission statement.
The Hamilton Wenham Regional School District School Committee's mission is to ensure our schools create graduates with a passion for lifelong learning, together with the critical skills needed to maximize their potential. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee will lead and inspire a district that empowers administrators to seek innovation, responsiveness, and creativity in all aspects of district operations.
Thank you. Next up, I'm really pleased that we have a student representative here. It feels like a little while since we've had someone here. I'm really glad to see that Anderson Craft is here to speak to us and share a little bit about what's going on in our schools.
Thank you for having me. Starting off with the high school is hosting an open house for new families to the school and current 8th grade parents on Wednesday, October 22nd at 6:30. There, new families can meet with teachers, counselors, and varsity coaches and captains of sports that they're interested in playing and ask questions to them and teachers and counselors about what school is like. For sports, I would like to congratulate Reed Foley for winning the Northern Sectional MIA Championship for golf. He'll be moving on now to face golfers across Massachusetts in a state championship. This past month, winter sports coaches have met in player-only meetings where they've gone over schedules and future dates and about signups, where signup started on October 15th. I'd also like to congratulate the boys soccer team for tying Ipswich and winning the Cal. And then for clubs, freshman elections started in September, and DECA has recently been starting up. In the middle school, many clubs have begun, like art club, student council, jazz band, and GSA. They've been meeting weekly, along with fall intramurals like cross country have started up. For the elementary school on October 28th, parents will be meeting on teacher conferences across the elementary school. For all parents and students elementary school students will be ending school early, and Winthrop School has had its picture day for all students on October 7th. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Anderson?
I don't think so.
All right. Thank you for coming. It is really important and special that you come and not only tell us about the high school, but you do the work to find out what's going on in our other schools. And it's really important for us to hear it directly from you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You are invited to stay, but we also understand that you may have other things to do. So if you need to depart and get to homework or whatever, you may do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next up is the consent agenda. Does anyone have any items that they'd like to hold from the consent agenda?
No.
Julia, to you.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as proposed in the full agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. All those in favor? And that is 5 in favor, and the motion passes. Yeah?
Thank you for all the donations. Look at all the Friends of the Arts and the family donation. Good stuff.
Yeah, no, that was real, I would like to just say that. I mean, the Friends of the Arts, the photo stuff is amazing on here. It's really exciting.
And while I don't have any kids in the district yet, I'm really excited to hear the new xylophone, so I may even go to a concert.
Yeah, I thought it was all, I mean, I thought it was all interesting. I loved just the detail about the shoe, shoe, it makes so much sense. Like, you need to have all those things.
As a former drama kid, you need all the costumes.
Exactly. No, it was really good stuff. So that was great to see. Okay. So first up under new business, we have presentations by all of our principals on the school improvement plans. And I will turn it to you, Eric. I don't know if you...
Sure. We annually we do school improvement plans. The principals, after working through the district budgets and having the district goals and having the district goals approved, each of the principals then works with people in their building and members of their school councils to determine school improvement planning for the current school year. These plans are always aligned with district goals. They're also aligned with principal goals for their own evaluation observations. So we're going to take it out of order this year. Second year in a row, we're going to start with Dr. Best at the middle schools. Dr. Best.
All right. Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us tonight and giving us a chance to share with you some of the work that we're going to be doing this year. We have 4 goals at the middle school. So we'll kind of go through those one by one. Our first goal is really, it's an ongoing goal related to MTSS practices. It's connected to that district goal that's been around for a number of years as well. For the past couple of years at the middle school, our focus has really been on ensuring we've got our tier 2 supports in place and our practices are working for kids there. So we're going to keep focusing on that, but we didn't want to lose sight of tier 1. That's the instruction that everybody receives, specifically making sure that instruction is supporting all of our learners. And at the middle school and throughout the district, we know that oftentimes it's our students with disabilities that are needing some additional support to, oftentimes get caught up. So that is an area of focus. So just a few of these bullet points. We're going to continue with our screeners. We do provide math and literacy screeners throughout the year. That is really helpful for teachers to be able to understand where students are experiencing success and where there might be some challenges. And it also helps, it's a big piece of the puzzle as we create our intervention groups. That's a big part of the conversation. In the last few years, we've been able to arrange our schedules so that all students have access or ability to be part of those intervention groups as needed, and we're able to be flexible with those. So we spend a lot of time with teachers identifying students who might need support, and sometimes students get that support and they're able to move out, or sometimes student who starts the year strong might find that midway through they need a little extra support. So we've been able to create a schedule that allows for some of that flexibility. As we're thinking about our Tier 1 supports, we've got some work on curriculum that we're doing. Right now, we're piloting 2 different science curricula. One is Lab Aids and one is Open SciEd. Our teachers are committing to doing 2 units each from both of those. We really want to make the best decision when we adopt a new science curriculum. It's been fun watching the students use a lot of the materials, a lot of getting outside, hands-on activities. I was outside the other day. Students were taking temperatures over a period of time with different lenses, and these are 6th graders, and we're right at the end of bee season, so you can imagine how that kind of went, but they got it back together, and it was fun to watch them crunch that data back in class. We're going to continue to develop our data meeting structure. We want to make sure that the instructional decisions that we're making are based in data, and that we're really attentive to those students who might have a learning gap that we need to be able to attend to. Last year, we adopted a new English Language Arts curriculum, HMH, and our teachers have committed to increasing the number of units from that curriculum. One of the nice things about HMH is it pulls so many resources together. It really saves teachers some time and puts a lot of high-quality materials right at their fingertips. And throughout each lesson that is provided, there are multiple points where students can get some additional support. So a multiple language learner can get supports, and that curriculum has resources for those students. We're going to document supports that are available at Miles River. We're starting a MTSS handbook, and so we want to make sure that those things that we have available are appropriately documented, and where there's opportunities to introduce additional supports, we can recognize and put those in there. And one that didn't make this list is that Mrs. Gerstein, the assistant principal, and I are committing to increasing our visits in classroom. I think, time in classroom is time well spent. It's easy for the day to get away from you. We're accustomed to being in classrooms, but we're really going to focus on providing feedback more frequently, not just through the formal evaluation process, but through the day-to-day visits that we already have in place. Our second goal is regarding the Portrait of a Learner. The high school has really done a lot of work on getting that up and going, and we're looking to capitalize on some of their work and bring that down into the middle school. We're looking to integrate that really into our day-to-day work at the middle school. So we've started at our first couple of staff meetings with an activity to identify things that we're already doing, and then our aspirations. What are some components of Portrait of a Learner that we are aspiring to? And so hoping to pull a committee of teachers and staff members together to really create a vision of how we can embrace that and really make that part of our day-to-day and really articulate a plan. And as we're making that plan, go ahead and start implementing some of those things that we have identified. I also think it's really important to have student input, even at the middle school level. We've got a building full of really smart kids, and I want to make sure that they are part of this process as well. So we're going to capitalize on our student council as we continue this conversation. Last year, so for goal 3, this is really a continuation of some work we did last year. We spent a good chunk of the year really looking at our grading practices. Grading for teachers is a very personal thing. A lot of folks have very strong, thoughts and how to move forward on that. But one thing we were able to agree on is that our grades should be a reflection of student learning, and that in some way they should be a communication device for parents and other stakeholders. So we put together some practices that we think are going to help us do that, and we want to make sure that does not get that work that we did last year doesn't get lost in some of the other good work that we're doing this year. One of the things that we've talked about is the importance of a progression. So when students come to us in 6th grade, they've never seen a numerical grade before, if they've gone through the Hamilton-Wenham system. And then when we send them to high school, it's the thing. It's what's asked for by colleges and things like that. So really the progression from 6th to 8th grade to make sure that we are introducing our grading practices in a way that is appropriate and helpful and supportive, and also that as we're sending our students on to the high school grades, that they are accustomed to that process, and that grade is something that carries some meaning. Certainly the last thing we want to do is make somebody uncomfortable, upset. You know, it can be tough that first time you see a grade that's lower than you expected, but we also owe it to our students and our families to make sure that we are communicating our students' learning progress as accurately as possible. So we've shared those practices with families. We want to use some of our common planning time at different checkpoints throughout the year to look at that. We also want to run some analysis in situations where we have screener data and common assessment data and state testing data. You know, take a look at that and see how it's lining up. You know, state testing isn't the end-all and be-all, but it is a nice data point, and it would behoove us to make sure that there is some alignment with those. And finally, our fourth goal, this came out of our building leadership team. We were discussing this towards the end of the year last year. We have historically had some, you know, values posted around the school. Those have, over the years, kind of come down, and they're not part of our day-to-day operations. And so we want to be able to really identify a framework that anchors our building-wide behavior expectations for students. I think there's a value in being able to anchor conversations around a common set of expectations, and when we have those, anyone in the building can support a student if they're struggling. So this is another area we want to create a working group. We want to look at what's out there, reviewing frameworks that might be in place at the elementary school and the high school, use some district-wide documents so that we're not doing this in isolation. You know, how does our portrait of a learner feed into this? What about our district goals, our mission, our core values? These are already out there, and we think we can capitalize on those to build a framework for ourselves. And here again, we want to make sure to gather student input, and by the end of the year, we'd like to have a draft that we present to staff that we can get some feedback on. I think that's it. Happy to answer any questions. Yes?
For goal number 3, are teachers also looking at Bloom's taxonomy and making sure that they're asking questions at different levels of difficulty? That will absolutely affect how we learn.
Wow, that's a big question. Yeah, I think they always are, you know, whether it's formal or informal. It's funny you mentioned questioning. We were in a curriculum leader meeting today, and we were talking about the importance of question in planning. That's not necessarily part of the goal, but I agree. I think that there's certainly an overlap there. So yes, it's not necessarily an action step here, though. Yeah.
Another question? Julie? I know we've instituted the phone ban at the high school. Is that in place at the middle school also?
So we work on a powered off from beginning of day to end of day, and it works for us. I can't say that there's not a student that might have found a way to, you know, sneak off to the restroom and answer a quick text. But if you were to walk through the lunchroom, the hallways, the classrooms, you would not see students on phones. So that's how we're able to manage that. I can probably count on one hand right now the number of phones that we've had to take up and reach out to parents.
Okay. That's something I'm just really passionate about.
We are too. It's so much easier to learn when you don't have a device distracting you right in front.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. My other concern with that is that they can have their phones in middle school, but then they get into high school where they should have more responsibility, and we're taking them away.
Other people have questions?
I don't have questions.
I don't know that it's really a question, it's something I just wanted to, I really appreciated what you said about the goal number 3, about the grading. I really appreciated that acknowledgement about, you know, that they're going from exiting elementary school where they really haven't experienced that to a real, I really liked that acknowledgement of a real world expectation that when they're in high school, this is real. It's, you know, external forces or colleges and other institutions are going to be looking for. I really appreciated that, like, that's a big part of middle school is. And so I was wondering when you were speaking about the behavioral expectations, like, I guess what I'm just hoping for is that it will be a similar kind of a mindset around, like, you know, when you're creating the behavioral expectations that, you know, that like they're coming out of the elementary school where there's sort of one world that they're living in, and they're going to be entering into another world in the high school. So that was really just feedback that I really appreciated, the thoughtfulness
and hope that that would be a similar thought process for the behavioral expectations too. So.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think what we're really trying, it's, you know, we're not, I hope this goal doesn't suggest to you that we're sort of the Wild West and haven't thought of, you know, sort of any sort of guidelines. And we do. And you're right. When I meet with the 8th graders, my conversations are very different than when I meet with the 6th graders. But I think having sort of a written, agreed upon umbrella of a framework that helps you develop within that umbrella grade appropriate expectations just really sort of underscores that everybody's on the same page, and that's just something that we're seeking to do. So thank you for that feedback.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we have a little switcheroo tonight for the high school. Mr. Managoni was unable to be here, so Assistant Principal Jeff Becker is here to take over. Mr. Becker.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for having me here tonight. This is my 4th year in the district and first time at a meeting. And it's, I look forward to coming again. Our 4 goals that we're going to talk about as a school, the first 2 are going to sound a little bit repetitive, as we are a district with you know, certain focus points. Our first 2 goals are very similar to the middle school's first 2 goals. We start off with our focus on the portrait of a learner. One of the things I first learned about this district was the existence of a portrait of a learner, and how it was not a portrait of a graduate by design. It was something that we wanted students to be, and teachers to be thinking about from as a K through 12 experience, and something that everyone is able to work on together. This is why you see it as a middle school goal as well as a high school goal. We have spent a lot of time over the years getting our teachers to really understand how this can be incorporated into their classes. And now I would say our focus this year is really bringing the students into that conversation in a number of different ways. So through the Portrait of a Learner, our students are going to be having quarterly reflection periods. Now, we have a new aspect to our schedule this year, which is a community block that meets on Wednesdays. We're going to be using that community block at least 4 times this year as an opportunity for students to start reflecting on work that they've done and how it falls in line with the Portrait of a Learner. And there's some open-ended aspects to that in terms of which aspect of the Portrait of a Learner some of their work could fall into, but it's really about reflecting and growing as they move through their high school experience. This is also, you'll see one of the notes we make is about the Mastery Learning Record. This is being piloted in connection with the Portrait of a Learner as a document or a collection of documents that students will be able to put together and reflect upon and show as evidence that they are sort of meeting that Portrait of a Learner, that they've painted their portrait of themselves in a number of different ways. And so that's the work that we're doing this year, bringing our students into that, allowing them to better understand what it means to fulfill that Portrait of a Learner. So those are the primary focal points for our first goal of the year. Our second goal is related to Tier 1 education, right? We're talking about our multi-tiered systems of supports, and that Tier 1, what's happening for all students all of the time, with a particular focus on making sure that we are working towards each of our lessons engaging all of our students. And one of the ways that we want to support that is to create an understandable instructional framework that we're going to be able to focus on when we go in for not just observations, but also conversations with teachers about what we've been seeing. The instructional framework will really come from a lot of documents that we already have, whether it be things from Skillful Teacher, that all of our trainings that our teachers go through, the rubric that we use as part of supervision evaluation, and sort of narrow down our focus into what are those key elements that we're looking to see in each of the classes. As Dr. Best mentioned before, we are working on being in classes with much greater frequency than we've been in the past. So this is not about having the same sort of observations, just more of them. It's about enhancing those observations, being in rooms more frequently, maybe for a smaller amount of time than we've been used to in the past, but still providing feedback and having conversations with teachers about what we're seeing in the classroom. Being in more classrooms more frequently allows us to better see what's going on across departments and across grade levels. And we sort of design those observations where in a single day, we're seeing things that have certain similarities, where maybe we're trying to get into a number of ninth grade classes during the same day, get that experience of what a ninth grader's day is like. Maybe we're focusing on a department and seeing a number of math classes and how math is sort of unified from one level to another, and having conversations around that, and then sharing those ideas of what's working great here and how it could potentially work great, in this other area as well. So that is, let me make sure I didn't miss a part of that goal here. Oh, the other major part of this is through our common planning time. So we also want to make sure that at the high school, we've always had common planning time. I believe we enhanced it a little bit this year through the scheduling portion of it, where we, instead of just having the two people who happen to teach geometry being together, we've been trying to put more math teachers together at the same time, not just math, but all departments, having more of them have that same common planning time. It could be that the two geometry teachers are still meeting, but then they have the opportunity to meet with others. Very few of our teachers are really teaching just one area, so this allows them to meet with different people within their discipline, I think, a little bit more effectively. But we're also really looking at how we are having those meetings and what the focus is. Our sort of shift this year is for that common planning time to really be about the effectiveness of instruction, not just what we're doing, but how we're doing it, and how we can keep it in line with things like the Portrait of a Learner. So I think that's everything from Goal 2. Moving on to Goal 3. This is directly connected to a district goal. As soon as we heard that the district wanted to be working towards policies and procedures around AI, it was something that we felt immediately that the high school really needed to be involved in. I think for a lot of educators, a few years ago or a little bit longer than that, AI came out, I was like, oh, no, this is just cheating. And now we're learning about how this can be a tool. How should it be utilized in schools? It's an evolution. It's happening quickly. And I really appreciate that the district is taking, a role in this. And I feel like the high school really needs to be a part of that as well. So that's why we've incorporated that as one of our goals for the year as well. And finally, our fourth goal is a continuation of a previous goal, where we're really trying to increase experiential learning, and we're really trying to increase opportunities that students can have outside the walls of our building. Getting out, our internship program has been a strong one for many seniors. We don't have all of our seniors participate. We don't have it as a requirement for everybody, but the students who participate in it get a lot out of that experience. We want to continue to make sure that experiences that students want and are going to help them move forward, we're able to help find those for them. So we really want to continue to grow in that area. The other thing we've seen a lot of growth in is the opportunities for dual enrollment programs. This is another way for students to get out and have some curriculum coming from other places. All of our dual enrollment courses that are taught in the high school are taught by our staff. They're internal classes, but they partner with other institutions, and this allows a student not just to potentially go to a college with, here's my AP score, gosh, I hope you accept that credit, but it's coming with an actual transcript, from a college saying, I've earned credit in this class. And we've been expanding those opportunities for students. This year we added in a marketing class that is being run as a full dual enrollment, being taught by our business teacher. And we're looking to add continued opportunities at where this could potentially continue to grow for next year, but looking to grow it this year to prepare kids to be able to, in course selection, to take things that are dual enrollment. So those are our 4 goals.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
Jen?
I'm concerned that there's not a DEI goal, particularly with the rise in anti-Semitism that we've seen in the high school just these last couple of weeks. I really think that needs to be a focus.
One thing that I can say is that the goals that any school puts out are, of course, not the only things that a school or a district are working on. We all know that there's a lot of other things that are worked on and that are a focus, and it is unquestionably a focus of ours this year. Brian has already been, sorry, I'm just saying people's name, Brian Menegoni, our principal, has already been in communication with a number of people from the community that have reached out, which has been great, and providing connections not just to individuals but to organizations that are going to be able to come in. Again, we anticipate the use of our community block as a way to continue education for students.
Can I jump on that one too?
Of course.
I just happened to talk to Principal Menegoni today about it. We were trying to figure out what his direction was. He's reached out to both the Lappin Foundation and the ADL. The ADL has already given him a ton of things that he can use either within the school or bring into the middle and high school. And then the kids are going to meet with representatives from the Lappin Foundation for student level trainings and then kind of teach, the team model of bringing it back. We want to do that for both the high school and the middle school. It's just not an isolated incident or issue. So there is a plan to continue doing that. It's just not one of the specific goals. It certainly could be because it's something that's of a high priority. So you'll see through the next few months there'll be different levels of both involvement with kids and also with staff members.
I just know it was a little frustrating because I know the women's field hockey team and the women's soccer team both won CALs this week, but the only one that was mentioned was the boys.
Wow.
Like, we need to make sure that if somebody's coming in and presenting about teams doing well, we need to present on all the teams that are doing well.
Yeah.
Not just the boys teams.
And also not just the sports teams.
Yeah, please.
That's true.
Do other people have questions regarding the goals?
I do. So I know a few weeks ago, the state rolled out a pilot about AI, I think to like 30 school districts. It really was just a few weeks ago. So it's an AI curriculum pilot. And I'm wondering if we would have the ability to sort of shadow or like get info from one of the districts. I think the closest one to us is Revere, just to kind of see how it's going for them as we develop our own curriculum about AI. I know as an educator myself, I'm scrambling for info, so I wonder if that's a possibility.
So the state's doing a number of things. They're doing I'm signed up for training, I think in 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
Which is the kickoff for our goal to be able to say, okay, these are all the things at the state level. I don't know if the state has a full website with lots of information. They also have now a new guidebook that just came out in the past couple of months. So all of those resources are very similar to what they're pushing down to the schools that they just grant funded a lot of the schools that were eligible.
Yeah.
For those grant funds, and the rest, as usual, the rest of us have to kind of find our own way. But we are kicking that off.
Oh, good.
Through November. You'll start to see that ramp up.
That's awesome.
Yep.
It just,
there's so much coming down the pipe right now. We're trying to stay focused with the Mass DESE because you can go in 400 directions and never really come to an end. So we're trying to stay within what they've curated. They've been able to connect on staff level, administrative level, superintendent level, different trainings for implementing and for working on development of curriculum.
That's awesome.
Also bringing things back into the buildings. We're fortunate, too. We have a number of early adopters at the high school and middle school that are very willing to teach our teachers and share their knowledge. So that's kind of fun, too, to see what some of the early adopters already are using it for.
That's great. Yeah, I hate to just start from scratch on something giant like that. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I would just to add to that as well. I think one of the things that we do well in this region is having those job-alike meetings. I know that Brian meets with the other Cal principals on a regular basis. We actually just launched this year a monthly meeting of the assistant principals in the Cal as well. And these are the types of topics that come up, and we were able to sort of share those things. We share them at staff meetings, which is great, and people will share their ideas. But to be able to share, get some of that from other schools and bring it back to share is an effective practice that's been a joy to be a part of.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes.
I had a quick question about the goal that's up here about the internships. This is something I've been interested in, and I guess I just want clarification. Like, the goal is to expand opportunities outside of the. I think both of these action steps are terrific, but I also am wondering about, I guess my question is about typically the seniors are the ones that do the internships. I don't know if you know about what percentage of seniors get to do that.
Well, I would say, when you say, they will all have the opportunity
to do that.
Yes. Yeah, it is. So it really does become that choice. And I believe, over the past couple of years, the percentage of students doing has been about 10%. It's been a little bit higher than that in certain years. Some of that having to do with, a number of different factors of what is going to, encourage somebody to go out to do the internship versus stay. I do find that, there's sometimes it's a matter of there isn't something that aligns with what I'm looking to do going forward. Some students feel like I'm already set up for, I'm into this school. I know where I'm sort of headed, in life, and I'm going to have an opportunity for experiences in the future. So you get some of that. Some people who just don't want to be out of our building. And they don't, they're excited to graduate, but they don't necessarily want it to come immediately. So there's a number of different factors. What I'm looking at is how can I try and form some new partnerships or relationships that's going to then be that spark for another student or another group of students to say, yes, I'm going to take advantage of that because that's the sort of experience that I would really want. And the expansion piece of it too is potentially for some of our students who really do have an eye on what they're going to do and could potentially non-college bound students, even starting in the junior year, providing them with some opportunities to be learning outside the walls of the school could be really beneficial for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just think it's important for everyone to have the opportunity, and I think that, you're right, not everyone might seize that opportunity, but I just really do want to have our students, I mean, I think this is great. I just wanted to sort of make sure it is sort of expanding for everyone, not like the dual enrollment sounds great, but that's not what everybody wants.
Right.
So, thank you.
Of course.
Other people? Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, now we'll call up the elementary principals. They do their goals together generally, and are you starting, Carolyn?
I am.
Mrs. Shediac will lead off, and then I think Ms. Hunt will be right behind. And then Mr. Schurston to fold it out, it sounds like?
Here we go.
All right.
I'm Carolyn Chediak. I'm the principal at the Winthrop School. Our elementary goal 1 is a continuation of the MTSS goals that we've had in the past. Goal 1 is going to focus on literacy. We are in our 4th year of CKLA, which is our high quality instructional material that we adopted 4 years ago. Teachers are really confident now in delivering Tier 1 instruction, and so the shift this year is going to be on strengthening Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions in reading, and we also this year are going to start looking a little deeper at writing. And the focus in this goal is going to be really helping to make sure that we are accelerating growth of students with disabilities that are working below grade level, and students who are not identified with disabilities but who are working below grade level. So the shift this year from Tier 1 to Tier 2 and 3, we're looking at reading and writing interventions and ensuring that those are informed by progress monitoring data. We have a really solid progress monitoring system in place for reading. We are developing that to look at writing and how we are looking at students' progression in writing. So some of our action steps, establishing a formal process for administering and analyzing universal screeners. We actually have a pretty good system in place for that. One change this year is you'll see Imagine Plus. That's the new name for the early bird screener, which is what we use in kindergarten. The next action step, Lalilo and Freckle are online platforms to provide opportunities for first and second graders to do additional practice, working on phonics, phonemic awareness, decoding, encoding, and they start with Lalilo, and some kids will make their way all the way through the whole Lalilo program, and then the Freckle is an extension program for them to do if they finish the Lalilo. Generally, those platforms are used by students during our WIN block, which is a 40-minute what I need block that's outside of Tier 1 instruction. Some students during the WIN block are going for Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions, generally reading interventions, and then there are other students who are staying in the classroom, and this is an opportunity for them to have some practice there. One of the big shifts that we are making this year is the way we are doing professional development. And by that, we've done PLCs and we've done district-wide, what we call job-alike trainings, and we do those on the early release Wednesdays. Those are things that we've done in the past, but we have changed it this year in that we are making sure that we are inviting and including our special education teachers and related services providers to join in those job-alike meetings and those PLCs, which are professional learning communities. Those are done internally within our schools. We meet about once a month with each grade level. But by having those special educators as part of our conversations, they are helping us discuss sort of some of the struggles that classroom teachers might have as far as differentiating and supporting students with disabilities and making sure we've got sort of the executive functioning structures in place. And we've been through our first cycle of PLCs in the district, in our schools, and we've had 2 job-alike meetings, and it has been really helpful for those special educators to be part of the conversations. And so that goes to the next action item of the targeted professional development for assessing student writing. So that's something that we are working on. Julie Leneker, our elementary literacy coordinator, is helping to drive that, looking at the writing process. So we are diving deep into our CKLA curriculum to see what the writing structures are in the curriculum, and then looking for ways that we can expand those things, the ways that we can actually provide students more opportunities for writing above and beyond what's written in the curriculum. And we're doing that by really looking at the units and the lessons to find places that we do need supplemental support. A couple other things that I wanted to make sure, actually, I guess I've covered all my little notes that I had written for myself. So any questions about goal 1, or do you want to wait until we've done all 3 goals and then we can ask questions?
We can do that. Goal 1, anybody have any questions?
I don't have questions.
Great, thank you.
I have an overall question.
Okay.
Okay, Jenny Hunt.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Hunt, the principal at the Cutler Elementary School, and excuse my almost no voice at this point. I have a little bit of a cold, so I will do the best I can. Similar to the elementary goal 1 that Carolyn just spoke about in terms of literacy, our elementary goal 2 is focused again on that ongoing MTSS support system that we put in place years ago. Goal 2 is focused on math, strengthening Tier 1 instructional practices, implementing explicit and systematic-based Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction, and again, closing that gap looking at narrowing that gap with students with disabilities is a district focus this year and district goal. We are in year 2 of implementing Eureka Math Squared, and it is a very robust math curriculum. Last year, it was a lot of just learning about sort of the lesson structure, the pacing, the assessments, and teachers were really attached to their guidebooks, but this year we are noticing that teachers are developing a much more independence in terms of structuring their lessons along what students really need, have a better ability to really look more in depth at the curriculum to help support students of all learning levels. One thing we did do this year was launch a math screener, so we really haven't had a solid math screener or assessment that measures similarly to such like a DIBELS screener that looks at all of the different concepts, components, and skills in mathematical learning. And it's called STAR Math Assessment. It is a computer-adapted test by Renaissance. It's used to measure students' math skills. It tracks their growth over time. The test is very, very personalized and diagnostic as it adjusts the level of difficulty in real time based on students' performance. And it provides data for universal screening, progress monitoring, and instructional planning. So we've already had an opportunity to look at that data. In the next couple of weeks, all 3 elementary schools are going to be meeting with our math data teams. So like Carolyn said, we have very robust literacy data teams in meetings. That hasn't been the past practice. We haven't put as much time into it. We haven't had as much opportunity to really look at data. So this year with this new STAR Math assessment, we have lots of information that we can look at. Another resource that we use to really boost our Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention is the Catalyst Math Intervention Extension Resources that is part of the Eureka Math Squared program. This isn't a program for students to go on and do like an online kind of assessment or online activities like STAR Math is. It's actually more of a program and a structure for teachers to use when they are doing interventionist lesson planning with students who might need that Tier 2 or Tier 3 support. But it also has opportunities for extension lesson plans for those students who might need more enrichment opportunities. So we're trying to look at like all learners and really focusing on making sure everyone has what they need in terms of resources and support. We also are using Freckle. I know Carolyn had talked about it in literacy, but we have it in math. It's also from Renaissance. It's an online platform for math and other subjects that provides adaptive, again, personalized practice for students. So it is something that we would use during WIN time. So that is what I need, and that is typically the time during the day that classroom teachers are able to do Tier 2 intervention opportunities for students. It also adjusts the difficulty of problems based on the student's performance and helps ensure that they're working at like their just right level, right, that they're getting everything they need. It is a Tier 2 intervention at this point. But it's been a great resource. Teachers love it, the kids love it. It's fun, and when we know that learning is fun, kids don't even realize they're learning. So it is very much a go-to favorite for kids. As Carolyn had mentioned, that we are now incorporating more opportunities for special education and general education teachers to meet. And it has been amazing, I have to say, watching sort of just in this short amount of time how much collaboration is happening across the building. So it's been great. What we've been doing is inviting them to our PLCs, our professional learning meetings that we have once a month with every grade level. And what we're noticing is that when they join us, we can look really closely at the data. We can look really closely together at the curricula, the math or the literacy. And we discuss a lot about, students and what types of resources they need, what types of scaffolding they may need. There's been a lot of sharing and opportunities for collaboration. And it is a goal for all of us to continue to work collaboratively together and share those resources and scaffolds so that we have that consistency and coherence across not just all 3 elementary schools, but all grade levels and also special education and gen ed. So there's a real big jump in that. And that is also part of our Job-alike meetings that we have once a month. Our gen ed and our special ed teachers are meeting together, again, looking at our resources and sharing. There's a lot of collaboration and sharing right now. And also data team meetings. We didn't typically always invite our special education teachers. We were worried about time constraints and servicing kids, but now that's become more a part of sort of the fabric of all of these meetings. Our data team meetings are another action step that it's very data-driven to support Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction, and we have that expertise from the special education teachers being shared at those meetings. And we do have Tier 2 intervention opportunities at all 3 elementary schools in the area of math, using what I had talked about previously. The difference is Bucher and Cutler, we actually have qualified for Title I math tutors. So we both have that extra interventionist that we work with them to create really targeted support for high priority math topics. And this model of the Title I tutor varies between a pull-out model of, small group instruction somewhere with really targeted instruction around, let's say, like fact fluency or something like that. But also there's a push-in component to it where that tutor goes into the classroom, works collaboratively with the teacher alongside them during a Eureka Math lesson, and there's opportunity for that person to support students within that gen ed classroom. And I think that is it for me. Do you have any questions, or are we going to wait?
Questions?
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Schurston.
Good evening. My name is Ben Schurston. I'm the principal here at Bucher Elementary. So our goal 3 is really in line with a lot of what we've talked about tonight around supporting students and supporting students at lots of different levels. So what we're thinking about here is strengthening our MTSS behavior framework through Open Circle, through Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3 supports to really support all students, especially those with intensive needs. This is an expansion of our MTSS practices. Carolyn talked a little bit about what we're doing with literacy. Jenny talked a little bit about what we're doing with math. So this is that next step of that. When Eric talks about belonging, consistency, and coherence, this is the belonging piece of that. So one of the things we'll do is develop our menu of Tier 2 interventions. As I said, we've developed a lot with literacy over the last 4 years and math, and really bringing this to that social emotional development piece as well, in line with our adoption of Open Circle as our Tier 1 curriculum. We have kindergarten, first grade trained right now, and we'll train second and third grade this year. Also looking to expand how we use our instructional support team, our IST, to look at incident referrals and look for students who might need some support. When we think about things that happen in the school, they happen across environments. Things could be happening in the classroom, at recess, at lunch, at specials. These are all with different adults. And so really trying to bring all that data together and formally have a team look at that to try to identify if there are any kids who need any additional supports. And then along with that, training our IST in behavior intervention plans. Once we have identified those students who might need a little bit more, making sure that that team has the tools to create some really effective plans to support those kids as they navigate elementary school. So all in all, we've got these systems in place for literacy and math, and now we're thinking about those soft skills. Kids are coming to us with way more anxiety and way more trauma than they have in the past, and we want to develop our tools to more effectively support them. And building these supports for SEL is really going to impact positively all of the academic areas as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, questions? No, I think you had a general question about, yeah, go ahead.
Why are all 3 goals MTSS goals focusing on Tier 2 and Tier 3? Most of our students are Tier 1. I really feel like by focusing on just MTSS goals with the primary focus on Tier 2 and Tier 3, we're leaving those tier 1 students behind. Also, there's a lot more that goes on in schools than MTSS.
Yes. Let me think about how I want to respond to that. That was a deep question. That's a good one. Yeah. Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3 don't exist in separate places. They are all tied together. And we talk about kids receiving Tier 1. Everyone receives that Tier 1 instruction. That Tier 2 and Tier 3 is flexible. And so kids will move in and out of those as they need to. So it really is one system that does support everybody and looks out for everybody. We also think about, traditionally we think about the tiered system as a triangle. There's also a triangle on the other side. Sometimes it's done as a diamond, where you have these Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions for those kids who are really excelling as well. So some of those extensions we talked about with Freckle on both the ELA side and the math side, like that's tier, but it's the other Tier 2 for kids who need a little bit more in that direction. So it really does hit everybody as we pull kids, dynamically in and out of those tiers. You appeared.
Yeah.
You want to say?
I also want to point out, too, that we've put a lot of effort over the last few years on adopting high-quality instructional materials at the Tier 1 level, and we're feeling really good about that. We've seen great results from adopting Eureka Math Squared last year in math, based on the data that we've already looked at and teachers' reactions this year to the kids who've come up to them compared to the kids they had last year. So I think for us, we feel really secure in our Tier 1 instruction at this point, and now we need to do the same. This is a heavy lift in some places, so we really want to put a lot of focus. We're trying to create some solid structures, data collection, and I think it was Zach that mentioned an MTSS handbook. We're doing the same thing at the elementary so that we know about all the resources that we have. We have 3 elementary schools. We try really hard to operate together and make sure there's consistency and coherence across all 3 schools. And this is a way for us to do that, because we're making sure that the good things that are happening in school A are also being shared at schools B and C, so that we are making sure that no matter what school kids are at, they're getting the same experiences. And the more we can fix the gaps at the Tier 2 level, then we can start to see those gaps going away, and it's going to improve our scores across the board. So that's why I think we're all on board for this focus now on Tier 2 and Tier 3.
But why just MTSS? Like, you don't have a 4th goal that's about something other than literacy, behavior, or math. And I know there's more than literacy, behavior.
Well, that's really what we do in I mean, our focus, 90% of our day is literacy and math, and then we're dealing with behaviors, and we're dealing with classroom environments and sense of belonging and all of the things that we do to get little kids ready to go up to the middle school. So, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, no, I just want to say too, part of the focus in the district really is actually that Tier 1 instruction. And when we talk about the collaboration between gen ed and special ed, it is the start of those conversations, the start of those collaboration opportunities begins in Tier 1. And so it's really, I guess, I understand your question and your point that we are mentioning Tier 2 and Tier 3 a lot, because that's part of sort of the kids where we see struggling, right? Those are the kids in whether it be literacy, math, or social emotional learning, those are sort of the kids that need that Tier 2 and Tier 3. So what are we doing to bolster the Tier 1 component of all of those? That is something we talk about with leadership team all the time. We talk about it with our elementary curriculum team. And so that really is part of the reason why we have that collaboration opportunities with special ed and gen ed that had not been there before. So the idea is really thinking about like universal design for learning. What do all kids need, and what can we give all kids what they need? I don't know if that helps at all.
I guess my concern is if you're spending 90% of your time on literacy and math, are you really producing well-rounded students in the other subjects that they have to focus on? Because if they're only getting 10% of the time on history and science.
So part of the CKLA curriculum is that. It is the history, it's the social studies, it's the science, and it's really the knowledge component. It is actually all embedded. It's pretty amazing if you walk into a first grade classroom and they can tell you how long it takes for the human heart to pump blood around the body once. I walked into a classroom yesterday, and apparently it's 1 minute. I don't know if you guys knew that.
First graders are.
Yeah, and then the science is also built into that, and just another piece of that is the writing is also nonfiction writing. So they're writing in what they're learning about in social studies, they're writing what they're learning about in math.
Yeah, I just want.
I mean, not math, social studies and science.
Yeah, I didn't understand your question. Yeah. And we should also point out that this year we have a new special. It's a STEM special, so kids are also getting that additional opportunity. So yes, I should have mentioned that the knowledge building in CKLA is always science and social studies based, okay?
I'll just add a little broad piece around reading and how that works for kids. And the simple view of reading is around decoding and around vocabulary. So decoding is how do I turn those letters into sounds? I can do that really well, but if I come across a word I've never seen before and I decode it, I don't know what it means. So being able to decode does me nothing if I don't have that broad-based background knowledge. So half of our literacy program is decoding and the other half is just that broad-based background knowledge across everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think when we think of literacy, like when we were in elementary school, probably literacy meant, a fictional story about some cute characters. But I see the work my kids come home with that is CKLA, and it's, like you said, it's about the human body, it's about the Louisiana Purchase, it's, so they're learning all these things embedded within the curriculum. I love it. I think it's great.
Just.
No, but I think it's a good,
concern.
but I think it's a good point of clarification for people, because our point of, our memories of literacy in elementary school is very different. So I think it's great that you brought it up and that anyone's listening can understand more about it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
So much.
Great job. Can I just say one thing to
Please.
close it out? I think it's important to note that the goals never touch upon the work that our teachers, administrators, support people do all day long. I mean, the literacy curriculum alone is fascinating. It's fascinating. It's not just, 20 years ago literacy. You're looking at opportunities for kids to talk about the Renaissance. They're talking about the Louisiana Purchase. One lesson that blew me away was the first graders doing the nervous system. So they do get a lot of opportunity, but then you bring in the other pieces of the specials where we've continued to try to figure out, okay, how do we give kids kind of a dip in each of these things, like music and art and now STEM. So there's a lot going on in our elementary schools, and I think it's a testament to the MTSS program that we've done these put these things in place for the last 4 years. Remember, 4 years ago I said this is going to be about a 7-year goal, trying to grow this out. So tier 2 and tier 3 is the next iteration. Because that's where we're seeing our gap, and that's one of the things that I drive the principals crazy with. They can probably all tell you that. We do a weekly reflection together about, the things that we're doing or they're doing in classrooms, visiting classrooms more often, integrating our special ed teachers, integrating even specialists into different conversations. So there is a lot going on in our schools outside of the goals, which I think it's hard when you say, okay, come up with 3 or 4 goals. But there's also 8 or 9 other things that you're working on through the year. So, thank you to our principals.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next up is going to be right back to you, Eric. But this is just, we talked about this at our last meeting. This is at our last meeting we discussed this, but it's just we hadn't received the letter from the MSBA, and this is just a statement. I think we need to vote on it. You can read the letter. It's basically saying we're done. Go ahead, Eric.
After the ballot vote, we reached out. Actually, MSBA reached out to us the next morning. Said, "Okay, what happened?" So we sent them a letter outlining everything that happened. Part of their process is to have this form that is kind of formalized. So to formalize it, they asked us to have myself and the chair sign the document, but I wanted to both give you an opportunity to see the the letter that they sent, and then to vote on the second exhibit, which is the actual signature page that tells us, you know, that we're declaring that we're requesting to be removed from the statement of interest process. And then, I think it's on the 29th of October, the MSBA board will meet and then vote on our removal. So it's really a process thing, and nothing, it really ends the process. We sign it, send it to them, they vote to accept it, and then the process is finalized.
Okay.
I can try
Yeah,
a
sure,
motion.
yes,
Oh, it just, now I just got it. Okay. I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District execute and return, or appoint Eric to execute and return, the declaration of removal of a statement of interest form to the MSBA as confirmation of the district's decision to remove the statement of interest for the Cutler Elementary School from the MSBA's capital pipeline.
Second.
All right, we had a motion and a second. Is there anyone who has a question about what this is?
No.
Is there any further discussion?
I don't want to, but
Yeah.
I feel like we have a choice.
do we have a choice? We don't.
I mean, I just want to maybe get it on the record and clarify it for the community, is that with this school voted down, doing anything else is not going to be able to be fast. We have no money in this year's budget for substantial renovations. We're going to have to figure out what renovations need to be made first, and we've got to be really careful, because if we spend too much on renovations, then we've got to bring the whole building up to code.
So I don't want to, but I will tell you that item D is a revisit of the district goals, in which my hope is that we'll have a conversation about that. So
I will put it off until then.
Not saying that it doesn't sort of fall under this one too, but
it does.
Yeah, but I think that's a great point, Jen, to just make sure that everybody's aware. This is very much a procedural process step that we have to follow. It was a very long process to get to the vote, and now we have to end this process and start all over again on a multi-year process. Nothing will happen fast.
Yeah. It's just not something, we don't have $5 million that we can pull out to do a renovation to something at Cutler.
Correct.
Budgeted.
That's right.
And there's no way to do that for this year.
That's right. And we're starting the budget process for next year.
Yes.
We're not going to
always
just
fun.
shove that in for next year without having discussions about, so we're looking at starting these conversations this time next year for the following year and beyond.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. Does anybody have anything else about this document?
No.
Okay. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 5 members present, and the motion passes. And Eric and I will sign that right after the meeting. Okay. So next up is so we've talked about that the MASC has an annual meeting or annual conference, and this year David Frankel is going to go to the conference. Each year at the conference, the resolutions committee puts forth some resolutions. This year there's just one. And at that conference, each committee gets to, if they have a delegate there, which we will, David Frankel will be there, they get to vote on whether or not to support this resolution or not. So this is a resolution, you can look at it. It was it's submitted by the Grafton School Committee. It's about removing BMI testing from the schools. And my goal in putting this on here is to have us have a discussion so that we can, if we choose to, direct our delegate on how that we, the school committee, would like him to vote on this. I will tell you that I read this and I was quite mindful that while I may have thoughts about the BMI testing, it's certainly not an area of expertise for me. So I did ask Eric, I said that I personally would be interested in what our nursing staff has to say about this. So I did ask Eric if he would provide us with some information on that.
And they agree. They agree
I
with the
cannot believe this
removal
still
of
happens.
the BMI as a measure, yeah.
It's antiquated.
Yeah.
I can't even believe it. Do they still make them climb the rope up to the top?
No.
Of the
I was
gym?
very good at that, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure you were, Dina.
No.
So I'd like to.
I was terrible at that.
I'd like to
really high,
continue
but I
that.
couldn't
Yes.
climb really high.
Because, thank you for that. I don't know if you had any more, or just that generally they.
No, the
They support
conversation with our lead nurse was very straightforward. She said she read through this whole thing. I asked her to read it and then just give me some feedback. She said, we would agree with this. We do not think it should be a measure in school. There's not enough expertise that's related, and it's an outdated idea, I guess, from.
Right, and currently my understanding is that this is a requirement that they have to do. So it takes some time.
It does, yeah.
That they are required to do this.
Yeah, and I think the other piece of it, what I read, I mean, I'm opposed to it, but it's only reporting. It's not like they don't do anything with the information. We don't have the capacity to do anything with this information. The school nurses are overloaded as it is. So I thought that was really interesting. So it's just reporting it and then kind of not doing anything with the data.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be much more interested in a measure of cardiovascular health than somebody's BMI.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will just say the only question I had was, I think it's still somewhat used in like the medical practice, unfortunately, right? Like even.
Well, sure, like a doctor, like
Well,
your pediatrician.
Yeah, they're looking at body mass index. They're looking at like, where do you fall on the scale? So,
Yeah.
so, I don't know. That was just the only hesitation I had is that I don't 100% agree. I think it's antiquated and very outdated. However, it is still somewhat used.
I just want to share that I actually had a similar concern specifically around, somewhat of an equity issue that students who don't have as much access, that may be getting more from our nursing staff in terms of flagging areas of concern that may not be, students that may not be brought to the doctor on a regular basis. That was one of my concerns, was like, not everyone's getting the same level of medical care, and that that was a question that I had, like, would this be an opportunity for a student, to get some information to that student's parents that there might be a concern. So that was an area of concern. It's part of why I said, but that was my thought, but I was sort of like, well, let's ask our nursing staff but I shared that concern. I don't know if that was exactly your concern, but that was kind of mine, was that like, not everyone is getting the same access to medical care, and so, I don't know. So.
I think BMI is slowly being phased out. I think it'll be gone in 5 years, replaced by the new measurement, the BRI, Body Roundness Index, which takes into more variables into account when determining whether somebody is obese or fit.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
I would guess BMI's gone in 5 years.
Yeah, I'll just share. Everybody knows I work for a company that manufactures vaccines, and eligibility of a certain vaccine was discussed for this year, and BMI was factored into that eligibility. So that's where I'm coming from, is like, I don't want to in any way prohibit people from access to life-saving vaccines if BMI is a measure that helps determine eligibility and if something happens in school. So that was where I was coming from.
Interesting.
Complex issue.
Yeah.
Do you want a motion?
Does somebody have a motion that they want to make?
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee direct our MASC representative to vote yes on Resolution 1, removing BMI testing from schools.
Second.
So I had a motion and a second, and everyone is clear that if, in the motion, if we voted yes, that would be supporting removing BMI testing. So it's supporting the resolution. So it's just making sure everyone understands. All right, everybody ready to vote, or is there any more questions? Okay. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 5 members present, and the motion passes. And I will make sure to let our representative know.
Is that really the only resolution?
Yeah, and if you can see, the document, which I didn't put the entire document on here because it's like, you can see this is page 25 of the document, and there's many more pages after that. There are if you look at the bottom, the next several pages are about previously approved resolutions, so that like they have all these old resolutions that are still kind of hanging around that like might get discussed whether they should continue with these previously approved resolutions or not. So you can look at the whole document, but this is the only new resolution. So what happens is committees put forth resolutions. I have no idea how many were put forth. I don't know. But then the resolutions committee does some work and brings.
Do we have to vote on the old resolutions that are being brought forward, or can we just use our old votes?
I actually don't know. It's different this year, and so I don't know. But my understanding is it's not that you're voting on, they don't vote, they just, I think they discuss on whether to continue, like, work. They've already been approved, and some of them they continue working on, and some of them they let, I don't know if that was 100% accurate. That's my best.
I think they use a 3-year window.
It is a 3-year window, and that's new. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be that like once they passed a resolution, then it was kind of out there forever, and now that's why there's this 3-year window, and that they let some things go after 3 years if either it's been resolved or it's just
No one supports it anymore.
Yeah, or it's just not
relevant,
or it's, I think sometimes just not going anywhere, right? Like it.
Are those the same as the ones that are set to expire?
Yes, yeah.
So we don't have to vote on those? Yeah.
I don't think so, but no, it's a good question, and I encourage any and all of you, I did what I thought, that if you want to go, you can go to the MASC website and check out this document if you think we've still got time, so if you think we need to go back and look at that, you can let me know, and we'll bring it back. Like I said, this document is very long. This is page 25, and I think it maybe is 60 pages long or something, and it has all kinds of other things about the MASC conference in it, so, but you can look it up on the MASC website.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're still in the middle of the moment. Did we vote? No, we did vote, and I said I would, yes. Okay, we're good. All right, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so next up, so these are our voted on and approved district goals, which are over here to be gestured at. And relevant to some things we already talked about today, Goal 4B, which is an approved district goal. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm not on the right one. 4A, excuse me, which is an approved district goal, was around the design process for the elementary school building project. It was specifically stated, you can see it right there, that it's dependent upon a positive outcome at the townwide election. So I guess the purpose for me of putting this on here and why I spoke to Eric about putting this on here is that obviously this, goal, it's even stated here that if, with a negative outcome, that this goal is ended. But I feel I put this here, my intent here was to open a discussion here, not looking for sort of not anticipating an answer this evening, but beginning a conversation about what's next. And I mean, if everyone's okay, I'm just gonna sort of say a few things about what I'm hoping for in this conversation, and then you can chime right in and say if that's what you're hoping for or not. I'm thinking about being really thoughtful about what are the next steps, and that might not look like, like this is what I want to renovate, or this is what I want to build, or this is what it might look more like. I'll tell you what it looks like for me. The question for me is, how do we, moving forward, ensure that whatever proposal or whatever project we hope to pursue, look to pursue, is a project that is something that I dream of filling our community with a sense of pride and ownership. Like, how do we create a framework for how to proceed through those next steps so that, and what information and what groups do we need and how do we do that so that we create a proposal that, for me, is something that is welcomed with pride and ownership. That's my thought.
Wish I knew the answer to that question.
Great question. But you may not, I mean, the general question is like, okay, we're not doing this, so what are we going to do? But I see that as we really need to sort of talk about how do we get there, not so much what the end result is.
Yeah, well, like, you know, it was brought up in the chairs meeting that maybe the first step is to figure out what needs to be done, like what's the most pressing matter at the elementary level in terms of renovations or repairs.
Facilities, just facilities at the elementary level.
So I think one hopeful thing or positive thing is some of the work that was done towards the specific Cutler School project, I think we can sort of use as a guideline about, you know, they went through all the schools with a fine-tooth comb, you know, we know what the issues are, so I wonder if we can kind of look back at some of that work and use that to answer those questions.
Cutler, I think we can. It's the other two that they didn't go through with this fine-tooth comb.
But then all the options, you know, C and W and numbers, like there's some information there, even though, you know, it's probably outdated already as far as total cost, but at least there's some groundwork already done a little bit with planning. I don't know, I'm trying to.
I agree. And I think I'm trying to sort of even slow things down and sort of, I guess like my starting point is when you start to think about all of the groundwork that was done before, like what from that can we take away? And one thing I feel pretty confident in saying is that we got very little feedback that said, I'm not saying that there was no one, but there were very few people that said, I think the best thing to do is nothing. Like, that was not, I'm not saying that there's not possibly someone in the community who thinks that, but that was not the general feedback that I heard. I heard in general people saying, we want to provide safe schools and nice facilities for our students, and that there was a lot of disagreement about what that looked like or how that would get to be achieved. But I wasn't, and again, I fully understand that I'm not speaking for every single person in the community, but in general, I didn't hear a lot of feedback like, nope, we should do nothing. And I guess that feels hopeful to me, that like, I feel like, okay, I think there's some agreement that, I don't know. So I guess that's backing way up from where you were, but I was sort of like, okay, well, like, where's the foundation?
I mean, your question bothers me because I really thought that's what we were doing.
I did too, yeah.
I thought that's what we were doing, that we were moving forward on a project that we could pursue where we create a sense of pride and ownership in the community. And I think we should not, I mean, I'm not saying you're doing this, but I think we should really appreciate the work of like Building Better Futures and the groups and the people and the parents and the teachers and the people that I spoke to that were committed to this project. And I just think that there was a ton of support in the community for this project. So I think we also need to take that into account. Even though this vote didn't work, there's still a lot of, like, these people, I don't want to negate them. You know, they're citizens in the community. They live here, they're families, they have opinions, and they're really passionate about, they were and are really passionate about a project like this. So I want to be respectful of, you know, of that group as well. Like, we can't just think about the people that voted no. I'm sorry. Like, we have to think about the people that want the school. But I don't know the answer to your question, because I legitimately thought that's what we were doing. And then when you find out that that's not what you're doing, then you say, well, okay, I really think we need some time. I know that the schools don't have the time, but another huge project like this, I don't know.
Thank you for saying that.
I think my question is, my answer is I don't. I just don't know.
I don't know either, and I want to say, I do want to respond to you, because I don't know that we 100% agree, but I think we, like, in other words, I've spent
we don't have to agree.
spent some time really reflecting. Of course, I feel, of course, there were lots of people for whom this project did bring out those feelings. And the reality is that the vote did not pass, and that I know I personally spent a lot of time thinking to myself, okay, that means that there's something that I didn't fully appreciate here, and I see it as like how the next time when we move forward with whatever it looks like, I think it's going to be important to be laying a framework to ensure that there's a different kind of conversation, or a different kind of
exactly. I guess I don't mind debating on issues and facts and truth, but I can't debate on misinformation. So I don't know how we go forward.
Okay, so
with just, there's so much misinformation.
So that's
out
a
there.
great, like, see, that I think is a great.
And there's
thing
personal
that,
vendettas against
no, but like,
a lot of
how
us.
can, I think that's a great beginning for a framework.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do to ensure that, or to help the whole community to have a way that information can be transmitted, that everyone can understand and say, like, okay, this is true. Because I don't know, and then I really will try to stop talking, but
if you saw that, I will elect you to like a high office.
No, I know, what I'm trying to say is, I think that the part of the way to create that is to create some kind of a framework where there's more ownership, so that people all with different opinions can agree. Like I said, I think you always want to start with where there's agreement. I think that there's agreement in our community that our schools our elementary schools facilities are in need of attention. I think that is something that people agree on in our community. So, like, that's where we're starting, right?
I like that idea. Like, we start from a place of agreement, but then it quickly devolves into how to pay for it,
Well, I
how to
think
make it a reality.
Part of the issue is, I see two main buckets of improvement needed. One is very physical and like literally concrete. You can walk through the facilities, you can give a tour, you can see, you can read the state of facilities report, and it's very like concrete items, physical items that need attention. And I think that is the people that maybe voted no but are in support of improving the schools. Like, that's very easy for them to see, like, we need that. The other bucket is the style of the facilities. You know, modern learning calls for different facilities than what we currently have, both in size and organization. So that piece, unless you have knowledge about modern education, that is less concrete to understand. So I think that is kind of the main push and pull of sharing information. I'm not saying I know how to inform as much about that piece of it, and I think that's where I personally was very frustrated, because our educators were telling us, the specialists, the experts were telling us what they needed, and people I felt weren't listening or weren't believing, and we're just very focused on the physical stuff. But I understand that, because we all have a home that we're caring for, you know, we're all familiar with replacing and renovating. So I think that is the push-pull that we have to move forward with. I don't know how to solve that piece, though.
I think the paper will help. Like if we keep, prior to the last year, right, we didn't have a newspaper that went to every single resident in Hamilton and whatnot.
I do think local news is really important.
So I think we need to actively like engage with the newspaper to make sure that the actual facts are getting out there with actual numbers.
And I mean, maybe that, I mean, I think this is, maybe that is, I'm a huge believer in the desperate need for excellent local journalism. It's one of those things, like, if everybody has at times been frustrated by something that's in the newspaper, that's probably good.
Right.
Right? That, like, if
100%.
That, like, it's not always the most fun when you're like, oh, wait, that story isn't necessarily spinning me in the best light possible.
I think
and yet that's probably a good thing if you're feeling like sometimes it, and to Julia's point, I mean, I think the idea, I mean, what I wrote down before you said that, but now that I'm thinking about it, is that Julia's point about, like, how do we create a shared belief in an information system, a shared database that people can agree this is factual information. And I think local journalism, and really, I mean, that's something we can't ask for. That's, our local journalists are right here. We can't tell them what to do, but like really intense investigative reporting to call out when facts are not facts, or to call out when facts are facts, like, could be really valuable. Yeah.
The information is going to play a huge role.
I also think a main piece that people were upset about, even though we gave them multiple opportunities to participate in the process, was that somehow this was like steamrolled over them in the last minute, even though it had been going on for like 10 years.
And I actually think the local journalism is
exactly. So now I think there is more desire to get involved earlier. There's more of an appetite to like engage in these discussions. So that could be a piece of it, like engaging people earlier, getting information out earlier. I mean, I don't want to at all say that Eric and the building committee did not do that, because they did. Yeah. But the whole thing was, it was just not as public, it wasn't as out there, it wasn't as.
Well, and there was no way for us to communicate with the entire community all at
right,
once.
there's no, there
It's not
isn't
like we
really.
can send an email to every single resident in
Right.
Hamilton, Wenham.
That's true. That's
Yeah, I
true.
don't know.
We're sending
I mean-
emails to the community.
Yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't part of the school committee last year or in years prior when you all did a tremendous amount of work, but I do think that Eric and the school building, like, there was just so much outreach to the community and to the public, so I'm personally struggling with,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
what more can be done
Yep.
going forward, right? Especially when there's, like, anonymous email campaigns.
I'm like
campaigns
grasping
of
at anything here.
disinformation.
I'm just like grasping at something positive.
Yeah.
Well, and we're also dealing with the problem of how do we get Wenham to vote for something that's just going to improve Hamilton schools?
Correct.
And how do we get Hamilton to approve something that's just going to improve Wenham schools?
But to be clear, all of our kids go to all of the schools.
I'm
That is
not disagreeing with you.
But that's how
at
people look at
all.
it. That's
But
literally how
what
they look
they're
at
gonna-
it.
That's how they're gonna look at
Unfortunately,
it.
that's one of the myths and misconceptions that need to be addressed.
Yeah. And so it's almost like when I approach things from my perspective, like at work, I try to take stock in like what do I see as the known obstacles. I kind of do like a SWOT, right? Like successes, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then assess kind of those key threats and how, like, and a threat is just something that's going to be an obstacle essentially, and how do you come up with strategies for how do you combat that and overcome that. I mean, maybe that's something we apply here, but like understanding that I think is a key sentiment that exists that we're going to have to overcome, and we have to think about how do we do that thoughtfully to be successful across all three schools.
Exactly. No, and I guess that's what I actually, I mean, I think that's beautiful. Like, that's, like, maybe it doesn't feel like, you know, I'm sure all of you had, I had people 12 hours after the vote say to me like, okay, so what's plan B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and we're genuinely shocked that like,
We don't have a plan B.
no, we've spent all this time and energy to create what we, one plan, because that's the way this works. But now we do need to create Plan B, like, we do.
Plan
And
B,
so,
C, D, E, F.
yeah, so I love that, I think that is like,
A SWOT
that,
analysis?
to me, like, slowing things down and saying like, okay, let's do an analysis. Of course, I don't, the successes, weaknesses,
I
opportunities.
think I
and-
misspoke. Strengths, weaknesses,
Yes.
opportunities, threats. SWOT. Sorry, I'm tired. I've been up since 4:30.
Yeah, so my intent here was really to open up a conversation with the committee, but also to have the community hear that, like, we're starting from here we are. I don't know, we don't need to talk forever, I don't know.
No.
And I don't know if, Eric, if you want to chime in or not, it's okay.
No, I do. I think it's important for us to go right back to where Dana started. No matter what side you're on, everybody agrees something has to be done. I think that's majority. I'm not gonna say everybody, because there are some people that are gonna say no matter
very
what. I
few.
get that too. But the majority of the people, no matter what side you're on, we're saying, okay, we realize something needs to be done. We don't want this to be done, or we don't want that to be done. And stop looking backwards, look forward from that point, bring the parties in, whoever wants to come in and talk and tell, what do you think, what do you think, what do you think? Which takes time, but I think it's important time to be able to say, okay, let's get it all on the table. Let's sort out what's real and what's not, maybe use the press or not, and then start to move forward. And then everybody carries the process rather than some people carrying the process, some people don't. This is never going to be 100% agreement. It just doesn't work that way. Every year at town meeting, we see somebody vote against a $9 bill to be paid from last year. It's okay, I get that. But I think it's important for us to say, we do know this piece of the puzzle, the something has to be done, is what I think everybody can say, yeah, you're right. What it is I think our next task.
Yeah.
What is it? Because it might be a stretch this far for people to say, okay, we can do a $10 million project, or we can do a $15 million project. We don't want to do a $30 million project. So I think really getting those, like, how far does this go? Knowing some of the information about Cutler, there is a lot of work that needs to be done there. That's probably the bigger project right now about all of them. But again, what does that look like? There are a lot of people who had a lot of things to say. Good, bad, misinformation, whatever, drop it, let's move forward based on what we have. That agreement is an important piece of the puzzle. And even conversations I've had in the community with people who voted no, they will still say to me, we get something has to be done. So I think we need to be able to kind of drop whatever concerns we have about the past and start to say, okay, how do we make this connection? How do we work together on behalf of our kids and our staff so that we can get something moving forward? And it's not going to be instant. There are a lot of still, quote, rules to the road. There are rules with bidding. There are rules with design work, all the things that we dealt with along the way. We still have to figure out how to fit that. Does it become an MSBA project again? Do we apply no matter what in the spring? Those are all conversations I think we need to have. We know it's not going to come around right away, but it could. You never know. It could come down in 2 years, 5 years, 4 years. But I think we need to be prepared to start taking some steps in the direction where everybody agrees.
Yes.
And then try to figure out how far we can go out. We can look back and be PO'd about everybody's anything, what I said, what somebody else said. We need to move beyond that to be able to get something done. I think it's important for our kids. I think it's important for our staff. I think it's important for all of us to be able to make something happen based on that agreement of we all realize something needs to be done.
I don't know if again, this was really just an opening conversation to I think Jen mentioned it.
It's a good question.
To,
I just don't know the answer.
Yeah, no, but I guess, it's, if people feel like they have other things to say, we can, but we can also just, move on. And know that this is going to continue to come back on agendas, and we're going
Good, it
to
should.
hear from people and reach out to people, and So that we can kind of eventually come forward with sort of what the path looks like.
Yeah, yep.
I actually feel good about the conversation. I hope you guys do.
Yeah.
Too, even though. Okay, we're ready to move on? Okay. Next up, we have the custodian MOA. I don't know if you want to speak to this. We don't have to. I mean, I know, but.
Yep. The current MOA from the AFSCME Custodian and Maintenance Union, in summary, will have the district agreeing to count all vacation and sick days towards their 40-hour work week. In return, the union agrees to another vacation blackout week for the week prior to senior graduation.
We should have started off with a motion. I'm sorry. So, yeah, sorry.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham School District approve, should I say just MOA, approve the memorandum of agreement entered into between the district and the AFSCME Council 93 Local 2905.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. Does anybody have any questions? Any further discussion? No. All right, all those in favor? That is unanimous of the 5 members present, and the motion passes. Right. Next up is the superintendent contract. I'm going to do it right and ask for a motion first.
Okay, hold on, I gotta make sure. I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District approve the contract of employment between the Regional School District and Eric Tracy as presented on the agenda.
Second.
Second by Jen Carr. Does anyone have any questions, or is there any discussion?
Questions?
I mean, I know people are upset with the number, but most of our teachers and most of our administrators don't get raises that even keep up with inflation. So we're asking them to do more, or even the same amount, for less buying power. So occasionally we've got to come along and we've got to do a big correction. And we've already done that for the teachers. I think it's time we did it for everybody.
So I've personally been struggling with this a little bit. Not in a reflection of Mr. Tracy at all. I think you're lovely and wonderful. I think you've done an amazing job for the students, the district, for everyone. We're so lucky to have you. I have been struggling a little bit with the number, right, and with how we derived that. I understand that it stems from some of the increases we did with the teachers' contract last year, right, and we were keeping that in line, and some of that, the increase there. I'm just personally struggling a little bit. I know we missed our last meeting as well in our executive session where we would have had this discussion, so that is probably a missing link for me. So fortunately, that's where I'm struggling. I've always worked in the private sector. Like a 30% raise is like really kind of unheard of unless you're jumping companies. Even at the promotion level, that's like really challenging. However, I'll also say on the other side of that coin, in the private sector, Eric would be considered a CEO, and a CEO would make 4 times this, right, in terms of total compensation with salary, bonus, stock options, whatever. And so, I'm just very conflicted with the amount, and trying to understand if we did analysis around comparable salaries of comparable sized districts.
Wait, where did you get 30%?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
I
This is
thought it
only
was-
like in between 7 and 8%.
Okay.
No, well, so just to be clear, it's
Yeah,
6%.
Yeah, 6%.
It's 6%. So that is, so.
For 1 year, and then based on evaluations.
Correct. So just for accuracy, that
Thank
it's
you.
6%, and it's a 5-year contract. And I'm sorry, you could speak to it if you want.
Yeah, no, I was just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
it says in the contract, it's pursuant to evaluations every year.
Correct, right. So the salary is for the first year.
Yeah.
There's no information in the contract about the future salaries. So the salary is set each year.
And I will say I didn't have time to do as deep a dive as I would like to do with comps, but our superintendent has almost 5 years' experience. Beverly's superintendent, who's just starting out, is making around $200,000. Manchester Essex superintendent, who only has 2 years of experience, is making about $220,000. So I think it's really important that we reward people for the experience that they have.
Yeah.
And there's a difference in between a superintendent who's only done this job for 2 years and a superintendent that's done it for 5 and taken a major project, through all the stages.
Yeah, I don't just, listen, it's not, to me, it's not a reflection of Eric at all.
Oh, sure.
It's like, it's the number. I did some research. It's hard to do, but I did do some research. And from what I could find, there were only 2 districts in all of Massachusetts who make more. One of them is Boston Public Schools at $280,000, and they have a district of like 46,000 students. So that's like, compared to, I think, what do we have here, 1,700 students roughly? So that's just a very big difference. The only other district I found was Needham, where the superintendent makes $255,000, and that's also I think it's like 17,000 students. I can check my numbers, but so that's just where I was coming from. The years of experience isn't something I factored into it either, because it's like, honestly, it's very difficult to like find this information publicly. Like I couldn't even find the prior contract to do the math, so that's where my numbers are a little bit wrong too. So I missed last session, so I just I know I'm kind of
okay. No, but it's good to bring up.
You should ask this question.
Yeah, it's good to bring up.
It's important. It's important. It's important information.
Absolutely, everybody should be on the same page.
Yeah.
I also want to acknowledge how uncomfortable it is to talk about somebody's contract while they're sitting
I know.
in the room.
No, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry.
But I also just want to kind of add on to what Jen is saying and a couple of points that you made about like bigger districts. Because our district is smaller, I think Eric does more than other districts that are bigger have more admin staff than we do. And just, something I didn't know before I was on school committee is just the hours that Eric works are, like 12 to 14-hour days. So to my mind, I think that's important to know when you're considering someone's salary. Like we all have salaries and we can kind of compare how many hours we work to somebody else. And I just think the job is massive. And I think with what we have coming up, the last thing we just talked about, figuring out this facilities issue, like to my mind, I think I want to offer something like that. But I am glad that you brought it up because it's it's good to talk about.
But that's also a great point. I think a bit, I know he works like 12 to 15-hour days, right? He's been at school probably since 7 this morning. He's still here with us now. He works all the sporting events on the weekends, all summer, whereas like teachers I know are not. They get the summers off, most of them, right? So I understand the difference and the rationale behind the compensation. So I do understand the effort and what goes behind it. So thank you for that. It's good to bring up.
Yeah, I certainly thought about all of those things, and I mean, for me, this contract is important for our district, in my opinion. That is how I look at it. I think Eric has been first a stabilizing force for our district, and then a forward-thinking force. And I really think this is not just the salary, but the 5 years, I think is really valuable. And I will say to all of you, I'm sorry, what did you say?
You've been through quite a few negotiations. It's not your first time.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say is like, think about every communication you've ever sent to Eric, and how long did it take him to get back to you?
Oh my God.
Whether it was 7 o'clock in the morning or a holiday or the man works all the time. So, anyway, I don't know if other people have other things. I think we had a motion and a second. Does anybody have anything else?
Nope.
We ready to vote? All those in favor? That is 4. Those opposed? As 1 opposed. And the motion passes 4-1. Okay. Next up is, this is,
Pathway
I need you to, yeah,
Let me-
I
can I
know,
explain this
yeah,
one?
yes,
Yeah,
please.
this is-
I was going to try, but no, you go ahead.
So this got on this actually is on the wrong agenda. It should have gone to policy first. Our dilemma is that the state has given us a November 1 deadline to submit something.
Doesn't have a chance.
So it really doesn't have a chance. I am very willing to bring it to policy and request an extension. We do have that option. Dr. Best put this together based on all the information that the state sent out using the template for the middle school pathway exploration. It is part of the new law that was recently passed around technical schools, CTE education schools, they call them. They are Essex Tech in our case, for the majority of our kids. They're trying to get more access into schools from the technical school side. Technical schools, I think, were complaining that not all middle schools gave them access to the kids to tell them about the school or give them an opportunity to see literature or things like that. We've kind of done that all along, so it's not a big deal for us. This is Zach following the template, Dr. Best following the template as expected from the state. But again, I'm very willing to bring it back to the policy committee. I just realized it the other day when I looked at the thing that we put it on the wrong agenda.
So if we were to bring it back to policy, I think you mentioned to me that we could send a letter or something just saying it's going to go to policy and we want an extension.
Yep,
Is
I can
that-
request an extension saying it has to go through a policy committee, which I think is the right way to do it.
Okay.
I just didn't want to take it off the agenda and have everybody go, where'd it go? You know, it just, it should have been on the policy agenda for the next meeting, so.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
Do you feel like you need
Motion?
anything from us in terms of requesting an extension, or?
No, I can do that through the portal, the state portal.
Okay, but I do think we probably need a motion to move it maybe to policy.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Sure. I vote that the Hamilton Wyndham Regional School Committee move the middle school pathway exploration policy to the policy subcommittee.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. Any further discussion? Like we're ready to vote. All those in, go ahead.
Are we adding another step that's not necessary?
Yeah, can we just?
Oh.
Like, does it have to go through policy?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
It definitely does not have to go to policy.
Okay, then I was thinking, then.
I mean, all the
Well, now we have a
members of
motion.
policy are
We're here.
here.
Should we just talk
Oh.
about it now, or?
The problem I
read-
have with it
Yeah,
is
tell me.
it's not a policy that fits in the policy manual. So for me, it's not really a
Oh.
policy, but
Yeah.
the way the law outlines it, they're saying every district has to have a policy about how they'll interact with tech schools. So this is, it just doesn't fit in the
I just
policy
thought we
manual.
were doing most of this already. So.
Yeah, we are, yeah. It's not a
Well,
problem
and
for us.
I guess maybe that's, and maybe if it were to go to policy, then maybe part of the discussion is like, is this like a middle school policy, or is it like, I don't know, rather than.
That's interesting.
Does it even
Could we
need to
just
come
put it in
back
the
to
middle
us?
school handbook?
We have to publish it in middle school and high school handbook, and it has to be on the website once it's approved.
Okay.
It has to be, and it'll go in the weeklies, so that you have to make it very publicly available, so.
I don't.
Part of the law.
I don't have an issue bringing it to policy.
I don't either. I just wonder if it's a necessary step.
Yep,
Like,
I agree.
if we can save him work of not having to request an extension and just
Right.
vote on it right now, I'm fine with that.
I guess the only question I would have is if, like, are we setting a precedent for introducing,
And that's why I asked the
talking about
question.
pathways in middle and high school? Like, do we want to just broadly talk about it and have this be part of it? If we do this, does it open the door for other things? Like, am I overthinking?
No, I think it's important to follow the processes we have in place.
Okay.
I think, like you said, down the road, oh, I got another one.
Right.
I don't want to get into that habit. This was clearly just on the wrong agenda. So I don't think it's worth going out of line when I can go onto the portal tomorrow and say, this is what happened, this is, the policy is written and what just needs to be reviewed through our processes. I don't think that would be a problem.
Okay. All right, I think we have a motion to move it to policy and a second.
Yep.
Does there anybody have any further? All those in favor? That is unanimous, and the motion passes 5-0. Members present.
Can I mention a typo in Eric's contract that I just saw?
Really?
Unless you want this, Eric. It says July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 3,031.
I've read the contract so many times.
No way.
I'll be alive.
I just saw it.
Where on earth?
Like your firstborn will have to be the superintendent forever.
Oh, it does.
Frozen every.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need a motion, but just, it's a typo and
Where is it?
It's under, it's
term,
not at the
under
term.
beginning, it's in term.
Oh. Oh my gosh, that's
I feel, you shouldn't have
Something
said
I don't know.
anything.
No. I know, then we could keep him until
Okay.
3,031.
generations of.
Oh my
We
God.
can cross that initial when we sign it.
That's funny.
I know.
That's great.
I'm sure I won't be here.
Yeah, sure, you'll do that
Yeah.
forever.
How many hands that made its way through?
I know, exactly.
Looked it up.
Until
says it-
I saw
It
it.
says it twice.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I only saw
Oh,
it
no, I'm
once.
sorry. No, that's wrong. Just the one time. It was funny. I was like, sorry. Just keeping you all on your toes.
All right.
Okay.
I just want to give a quick, I think everybody is all clear on the update on the Tuesday, the 21st, this coming Tuesday. We are going to meet jointly with the Wenham Select Board here. The Wenham Select Board is going to start their meeting at 6 o'clock. They anticipate that the portion of the meeting to appoint a new school committee member would begin around 6:45. That's what they're planning on. There are 4 candidates from Wenham to fill the seat. I'm really excited that, I think that's a wonderful thing, that
Yeah,
4
that's
members
great.
of the community stepped up and are willing to do that. I just wanted to let the committee know and candidates know, if they're listening to that, if you remember, this committee, we approved those questions. We sent them over to the Wenham Select Board, and we sort of said, this is the general framework. They made some wording tweaks, and they actually, I think, maybe split one question into 2 questions or something. But they did a little bit, and if everyone's okay with it, I didn't feel like we needed to bring back the minutia of.
No.
And to Jen's, at the end, I think you added, we're going to make sure that there's an opportunity that if somebody else has a question, that's going to, in other words, if anyone here or the Wenham Select Board has another question, that's okay, that can get asked. We said that in the meeting before, and we also made sure that if they wanted to, the candidates had a question, they could ask.
Are we going to bring all the candidates into the room at the same time?
Yeah, that's how we've done it
We
before.
do it in the
I know
4.
it's how we've done it before. I've never liked it, though.
Ow.
The first person who answers any given question has a disadvantage on all the other 3.
Well, we do rotate,
Yeah.
so we wouldn't have the same person answering the same question.
Did you want to have 4 separate meetings?
I would rather have 4 separate
I thought we
meetings
did
for
that one
fairness.
time.
Not to my knowledge.
If somebody does a job interview, you're not interviewing in a big
Sure.
room with 10 people.
True, but when you run for school committee, you're, being a candidate publicly against multiple people. So I feel like the job interview comparison makes sense, but also, you may go to a debate, or you might,
Right.
write publicly.
That's how I likened it, is like you're running, we will eventually run for public office, right? Like,
Yeah.
And there could be a debate, you're subject to that. I mean, I hear you though, I don't disagree.
You're
And
so-
I sat through it.
Megan
Not the-
she
just
just
did it.
lived through it.
Still giving at
I know.
least 2 people an advantage that the other 2 don't have.
But I guess the advantage
You
is
can
kind of,
prepare, right? I mean,
yeah, everybody
Yeah.
has the question.
And
I mean, you'd think if they thought of something, right, to say.
Or if they listened to somebody else's answer and said, ooh, that's good, I'm gonna use that.
Maybe we could ask the other three to do this.
But I will say I did talk with Ben Timon, who's the chair of the Wenham Select Board, about that, about making sure that, like, we didn't know we were gonna have 4 candidates, but making sure, like, you know, question 1, this candidate will get to answer first, then question 2, the next candidate will get to answer first. So that you're not always, because it is an advantage or a disadvantage depending on, depending on the person, it could be good to answer first or last. I mean, in other words, sometimes it could be hard to answer last because everyone's already said the same thing that you were going to say. I mean,
And now you have to be even more creative to come up with a compelling response. So I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see it either way.
I'm only just sharing with you, not that if this committee, I'm at the will of the committee. If you want to make changes, I'm telling you that, like, it's on Tuesday and we've sort of arranged it this way.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to make changes now, but it's something we should think about if it happens in the future.
I think in the future, we can think about, you know, some of it is kind of spelled out in the regional agreement, how it's done, but it doesn't spell it out to the minutia. So, like, the part where it's a public process needs to happen. The part where the committee members need to vote publicly needs to happen. Like, it's not a secret ballot. It's not.
Nope.
So those kinds of things. But you're right. There's nothing in there that says that we couldn't have them, like, have a soundproof booth somewhere where they come out one at a time.
Do we have budget to buy, like, noise canceling headphones?
Everybody sitting in the audience.
Yeah, no, I think it's a point well taken.
Something to think about, definitely.
Yeah, it's just something that has bugged me the last couple of times, so just wanted to bring it up since we don't talk about this process very often.
It's super awkward, and I actually really value the 3 of you who all actually have, well, not yet, but Megan will have on Tuesday experienced it from both sides. Like, you know, because that's important perspective, I think. Like, anyway, my biggest thing is I wanted to let everybody know about that. The meeting has been posted. All 4 candidates are listed on the meeting with their resumes are all posted. And I just want to make sure everyone's comfortable with, like, a little bit of wiggle room in terms of what the questions are, in terms of if something doesn't get asked, you can go ahead and ask at the end if you feel like something didn't get asked that you wanted to ask. And I will, if it's okay with everyone, I'll do what I've done before, which is, like, physically print it out so everybody has questions and then, all right, are we good?
Good.
Good, okay. All right. I don't think we have anything on finance and operations, do we?
Should we just mention that there's a meeting that's going to be started when they arrive?
Oh, I think I said that, but I'll say it again.
Sorry, I don't.
So, yes. No, that's okay. Yes, so they're starting at 6. We start at, the Wenham Select Board is starting at 6. They have a hearing of some sort that they have to have, like a procedural thing. I think it's on cable providers.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's why they're starting at 6. And then they anticipate they'll be ready for us at 6:45. So, of course, it's a public meeting. You can come at 6, but we're not going to sit up front until 6:45. So,
Sorry.
all right, no worries. Okay. Vinny, did you have anything on finance and operations?
No, not today.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. All right. Committee reports. Capital finance.
20th.
Okay. All right. Policy.
We've got some stuff.
Yay.
So we discussed in this meeting, we talked about the competency for graduation because of the MCAS removal. Now all school districts are required to do this. Eric, do you want to present what we talked about?
Sure. The competency determination policy, it is an actual policy that goes into the policy book.
It's an actual
And if you want to know how it works, this is the submission process, a 20-something page document from the state. As you know, the ballot question in 2024, remove the MCAS as sole basis for meeting the competency requirement. The state has determined that districts must create a competency determination policy that has to be approved by the governing body and then uploaded into the GEMS website that Department of Education runs, and this has to be completed no later than December 31st. Again, it's a fairly straightforward process. I have the booklet here if people are interested, but it's another templated item. And each school principal works on it. We've worked on it with, Mr. Menegoni worked on it with a number of principals in this area, so all very similar. There are not a lot of changes other than plugging in what happens in each school. So this is it's gone to policy, been sent from policy to here, and following our processes would be our first read. And this is brand new. We've never had this before.
I actually had a question under English language arts.
Mm-hmm.
The coursework requirements say the equivalent of 2 years of high school English language, but then the notes say they have to take it 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So shouldn't that too be a 4?
So
You have to pass it.
the requirement for the competency determination is different than the graduation requirements, which is what the notes are. So our graduation requirements are actually higher than the competency determination. So English is a great example.
Yeah.
The state is only requiring kids to have the equivalent of 2 years of high school English language arts as part of the competency determination. We made the note that we have them offered in 4 grades.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. That's a good question.
Okay, wait, so maybe, because I didn't understand it that way, so now let me just make sure, because I thought, well, maybe it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. I mean, I understand what it means for our students. I guess I just thought all students statewide had to take English 4 years.
No, that's not
Not
necessarily true.
necessarily pass English 4 years, but take English 4 years.
So there is a standard. The state has the curriculum frameworks, and those frameworks are designed to have 4 years of English. I think the majority of high schools in Massachusetts anyway have 4 years of English as a requirement. But you could substitute something else. It could be, some type of a literature course.
Right,
It's not necessarily just ELA. In this case, they're trying to say that if I rolled back to the EPP process, when kids didn't pass the MCAS, there was this process called the educational proficiency process. They're basically mirroring that old process now to say, all right, in order to get a diploma, you have to at least complete these 2 things. Our graduation requirements happen to be more extensive. The dilemma you have with a kid like a kid who didn't pass, say, English senior year, they don't have the option to graduate until they meet. They would have the option to get a diploma under the competency determination, but they would not under the school's graduation
And that's what I was going to ask, which one supersedes which?
the graduation requirement.
Okay.
The competency determination is just a trigger to say the child has done the minimum work necessary under the state's guideline to receive a diploma. Our graduation requirements still have to be met. They still have to meet the number of credits required.
Are we able to change, just to clarify, are we able to change the name of the column to help understand?
Yeah, could we do competency requirements and then graduation requirements?
I think it's a template from the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is a template from the state. Yep. Coursework requirements.
Right, so, and this is just, right, so it's, as a template, this is just basically us filling it in, like
Yes.
they're
Correct.
saying.
Yep.
What are,
Yeah,
Put it in parentheses?
it's like the last thing we were just talking about. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's a
Right.
template from the state that they're trying to get everybody on board now that there's no MCAS requirement. Because you still have, we have kids that may not have passed MCAS in the class of 2026. So we got to fall back to this now. So the principal now has to say, okay, who didn't pass MCAS? There are not a lot of kids in Hamilton Wenham, but who didn't? What's their competency determination requirement
that.
look like? Did they pass 2 classes of English? The other thing is they have to pass the final assessment to show mastery. So that's if you look up kind of in the middle, to show mastery, a student must successfully complete in accordance with the district grading policy and course requirements a final assessment for a course, a capstone, or a portfolio, or an equivalent measure. So let me give you an example of one student we know we're looking at. Didn't happen to get the score, the competency score at the time, when he or she was a sophomore. That student now, we look back at the courses, did not pass the final assessment, but passed all 4 quarters, which is possible to do.
Yeah, of course.
So now it puts this child into this very interesting situation. It's been built into these, that they can now go to the principal, and the principal determines what's acceptable. Could be something like an assessment, a portfolio, or something. It just has to be, it'll end up being reported to the state that Eric Tracy didn't have a passing final exam for, say, English 10. This is what was used in addition. So it gives a lot of options for kids. There's a requirement for appeals. There's a requirement for kids that come in from other states that may not have, there are kids that could come in as a junior and may not have anywhere close to the course requirements that we expect by the time you're a junior. So the principal's going to have to make some calls on what that looks like, and then it has to be reported to the state.
Well, and this, we knew this was coming, and when Brian came and talked about a lot of this is similar to what he talked about.
Yeah, I think the column headers just threw me off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on it, or it goes to policy, or?
This is your,
This
yeah,
is
this
the
is
first-
this is just a, yeah,
This is the first read. It came out of policy
Oh, okay.
here,
We're
so.
collecting feedback.
reflecting feedback. I heard the feedback that there was concern about the column titles, but maybe that's part of the template, but I'm wondering but the wording within the square of the notes is ours, is that correct?
Wording within the square of where it says notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
So like, maybe that's the place for some clarity, like, in other words, right now, the top one under, it says, this is the one you were talking about, it says to satisfy this course requirement, students must, maybe it says to satisfy graduation requirement.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's
Or-
the place to clarify it, like.
Or to add like the name of our district
Or
specifically.
to satisfy this course requirement at Hamilton Wenham Regional High School.
Right,
Yeah, we
exactly,
can-
or something like
yeah.
that, then like,
Yeah.
like, maybe that's the area, maybe that's the feedback, is that like, if we can't change the column, then maybe title.
Maybe, I can ask. I'm just saying.
I
it's a
just think
template.
it could be, if the place where we get to write what we want is in that little square, then we should just clarify.
That's helpful. It is confusing.
Yeah, we can dig into that a little more. There's not a rush in this either. This one is December 31st to be submitted.
Okay. I think it looks good.
Are we still going with AP US History not meeting the history requirements?
As the third year?
Or
Is
fourth
that
year.
what you're asking?
Yeah. I thought for a while we weren't counting APUSH, sorry, I used the acronym, as a true history course.
No, I think we are. I think Brian clarified that.
Okay, so we switched that.
During the program of studies, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
So I can take the suggestions, dig into it, and bring it back for second read with some answers.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right,
This one's not me.
next up, Amy.
Give me one sec, sorry, I'm just writing a note about that. Yes?
Tell me all about this document, I'm so excited.
Sorry. Yeah, so this is something the policy subcommittee has been working on for a while. We were asked with creating a handy document about voting thresholds, though it got a little more complex.
Very complex.
Are you able to pull up the actual Google Doc, not the PDF?
Yep.
I know, it's not clickable, it says click
It's
here.
very
you can't
helpful,
click here.
I think.
So, and also we can talk about, I know we usually put PDFs as exhibits, so they're kind of like set in stone, but we can also kind of lock up this document so it can't be edited by accident.
This is the one, right?
That's the one, yep. So on the left, there's tabs.
Zoom in a little.
the main tab is all of the places within our district policies that mention voting or approval. And I think as we go through the policies, like, in our usual process, we might want to consider being more consistent with our language as far as voting versus approval. Some of it feels really casual. But so this is where they're all mentioned. So when if we end up doing that, it'll be easy to see where they are. So everything here on this first tab is everywhere that it's mentioned by both
Okay.
a regular simple majority or 2/3. And then
I love that it starts right off with incapacity of the chairperson.
I know. Thanks. I just went in order. Section A.
Right there, okay.
But then if you click on either where it says click here or the other tab, these are all of the votes that require a 2/3 vote of the committee.
Okay.
So this just filters out anything that's simple.
Yeah.
And this one is shorter. If you scroll down, it's not super long. So this was my stab at making this as simple as possible. It wasn't as simple as
No,
just
it looks very complicated.
My vision of this was like a one-page cheat sheet, but these, some of these votes kind of deserve explanation. I can go back and link every single policy to the headings, but for now, each section is linked. So, for example, if we're talking about fiscal policy, section D, if you just scroll down a tiny bit, that is linked right to the website with the policy.
I see, yeah.
So I can easily go back through and do all of the,
No, I think, I don't know,
incapacity of chairperson, meetings and special meetings.
if we want to just focus in on that one. Yeah, this was a ton of work, I can see. Thank you very much for working on all of that. Thank you to the.
It's interesting.
I think this is, I don't know, so let me just make sure I understand, like, you would share, obviously, with the committee, sort of a document that would be more clickable.
So this Google
the
Doc.
the Google Doc,
You can
yeah.
lock it so that it can't be edited by anybody except, I
It can't be
created
edited,
it so I can edit. We can also, because it's in a Google Doc, right now our policies are, they are searchable, but this way it's searchable to just the page. So if you do like a Command
Right.
F and search for, I don't want to use incapacity of the chairperson anymore,
Right.
but like,
Yeah. You can, yes.
pick something else.
Right, you can search our, you can search our
really easily.
policies, yeah.
So the clickability is really just filtering out everything that is a 2/3 vote.
Right. To me, this is, it's much
Is it
more
helpful?
complicated than I thought it would be, but it's also really helpful. I think, for me, and I fully admit that I'm the one that asked for
wanted
this. For me, this is really helpful, although it's longer and bigger than I imagined, but it's really helpful. Because, and I guess what I'm wondering is, like, does it make, this is not a policy, this is just a useful tool. It's just a tool. So to my mind, it's sort of like, maybe we just use it and see, like, just as it is, and see if, like, oh, we really wish that it was, each policy was linked and you could click on it or not,
Right.
I don't think so. I think my personal
It seems like it's a document that's always going to be updated.
Right.
Yeah.
My personal stress is always like, okay, what if I'm, like, appointment of a working group member, like, we're in the moment and I want to be able to look it up.
That's where this is handy. So there's definitely.
I don't really need to be in the weeds of each policy.
Yes.
I just want to know, like,
Yes.
how many.
Well, it's like a reference document.
Yes, exactly.
For, reading through every single policy with the goal of pulling all these out, as a committee member, I'm like, there's definitely stuff that is not in here that we vote on.
Right.
But usually that language will come from you know, a motion that's written for us by council or whatever it is.
Right,
so
and
that's
I mean, I
okay.
will say there's certain things like Vinny will know, like
Yes.
Vinny will say this.
Most of them are
needs-
financial,
right,
finance
financial.
related, but,
Right.
so,
Okay.
but to your point, you know, if we were talking about creating a working group, this is a place where,
Yeah,
you know.
thank you for this. I think this is great,
what you
and I
wanted.
think, no, I think it's great, and I think it's a really important document. I'm more thinking about what's the best way, like, so that, to me, it's something that all the committee members and Eric and Vinny should just have
Mm-hmm.
available to them. So it's more about like how to share it. It's not really something that is, like, all this information is already publicly available to everyone. This is just an organizing
So I would-
document so that it's easily, like, at our fingertips. So it's more just about, I think this is really helpful. I'd like to just dive in and use it and see what we think. And so it's more about making sure that the whole committee has it, that it's a fixed document that can't get screwed up by somebody accidentally.
So I would propose that we lock it, so it's view only.
Yeah.
And that it belongs to the policy subcommittee. So, you know,
Yep.
over time, whoever's the chair of that committee is responsible for keeping it.
Right, if you changed a policy or updated or got a new policy, it would, one of the questions policy would ask is, does it need to change anything or be updated or added or deleted from this
Yes.
document?
And I wish I was trying to think through a way where it would like automatically update, but I think that's too future.
That's future for
That's
us.
future.
Right.
Do we still need to vote on it?
I don't,
I think so.
I don't think so. I mean, it was I don't think, it's not this is not creating any new information, or this is really just a tool an organizing tool.
The agenda does say vote, but I agree, I don't think we're not changing anything, we're just.
Right,
I guess we could vote on the process of me owning it and locking it, and distributing it to
Yes.
everybody if we needed to.
Sure.
Really want. Make
Me?
a motion. I don't know.
I don't know. Vote that you're the steward of it, or? Just the policy committee is the steward.
Vote threshold. It
Oh,
wasn't too low.
Oh, yeah, it's the
The
voting.
title of your document.
Oh, all right,
Excellent.
then fine, then we're not gonna get in trouble. Perfect.
First.
All right,
It's the
cool.
title of
It
the document.
literally is.
So I think, because it's getting late, I
Yes.
just want to say, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so helpful. I found it very helpful.
And I'm going to spend some time with it.
And I can send out the link, right?
Yep.
For the locked version, okay.
Yep. So thank you very much. And again, I know I'm like a broken record, but like, in other words, there's nothing open meeting law-ish about this. Like, you can send it all to us. This is all information everybody has. It's just a tool for us to use in the meeting. There's no, so yes, send it
And
out to all
probably
of us.
embedded on the policy page.
Yeah, we could put a link.
Yeah,
So
just-
everybody
yeah,
knows.
so,
Yep.
right, exactly. And that if, in a meeting, if,
Good idea.
you know, I can find it when I'm trying to find it. Thank you. Negotiations, we did not have anything to report, right? Yeah.
No, we brought it forward.
Yeah, it was,
That's what Vinny brought forward.
Oh,
We
well,
already
yes,
talked about
we
it.
already did it.
Yep.
That's,
Voted on
I knew
two
that, I was just, we've already done it, we don't have anything new. Secretary report.
So I emailed Janelle to try to get some information. So there's still a bunch of minutes from the subcommittees that are missing. I have David's old spreadsheet. I'll send that around. I guess our thing is, what do we do when it's like from 2021 or
So
something?
let's-
I just don't know what to
My question
do.
is, like, in the past year, what do we have things missing? No, I'm concerned
Oh,
about
okay.
the
I guess I could look at
previous
this.
stuff,
I
but,
could
like-
look at this spreadsheet. I mean, I can send it around to you.
No, yeah, I know, I'm concerned about the old ones, but like, are we up to date? Like,
We're pretty up to date.
year,
Oh, and then the
like-
school committee meetings were totally up to date. There's a missing set of executive session minutes, which I owe Janelle.
Okay. And how are we
So
doing on that? Like, in other words, are we marking the executive session like that Janelle, like they're held, like Janelle has them? Is that what you're marking, like they're?
the spreadsheet that I have that David created, that's pretty amazing, has a status bar. So
Yeah.
it's like missing, drafted, awaiting approval, approved.
Right.
Just a question
Right,
mark,
so, like-
approved and held.
Right, so like the executive session, if you.
I haven't even drafted.
But like, if
Oh,
you
I'm
send that to
missing.
Janelle, then it would get marked as
Yes.
awaiting approval. So
Yes.
we would know, because that's my big fear is like,
Oh, not voting on them.
like things that are, like if Janelle has it, like any minutes, if Janelle has the draft, then any future committee, if something occurs and it's not been approved, but Janelle has the draft minutes, the committee can convene, review the minutes, and approve them, right? The concern is what you were talking about, is about the ones that are from 2021 and no one has
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
They're
Like,
not here anymore.
You know,
yeah.
they're not here. It's
Yeah.
one thing if we had minutes from 2021 and Janelle was like, well, they haven't been approved, but here they are, well, then we can review them, but.
And I don't actually know how up to date this spreadsheet is, so I'd love for you guys to look at it, because like,
Okay.
I just see a pair of minutes? I don't know what you call, I see minutes that I wrote that we voted on that are listed as missing.
Okay.
So I need to just reevaluate with the whole committee, and I see a few from policy that I'm sure you guys are not missing, so. It's a very helpful spreadsheet, and then I will try to keep it as up to date as possible.
Thank you.
But we're doing pretty well.
Thank you. Yeah, and you can share that. Again, that's.
Or I can have Janelle share it with all of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
I think it needs to be, I think we need to make a copy of it and someone new needs to own it. Because
It was David's.
it was David's,
document.
so.
Oh, right.
Unless Janelle owns it.
No, I just looked at it,
Oh,
so, and that's something, you know, I've
Yeah.
been,
I will make a copy of it.
okay. 'Cause you're
Good
right, there's-
point.
All right. Thank you so much for doing that. And then maybe, I don't know what other people think, but then maybe, like, to me, I think that we really need to kind of divide it up and like think about like what's current, like in the past year. And then separately, like, is there anything we can do about these old missing minutes?
Right, because personally, I would set it up by date.
Yeah.
He set it up by committee.
Right.
But maybe I could do like committees and dates within the committee, but.
Yeah.
But isn't it by date within each committee?
Yes, but it's like hard to look at least to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you.
No,
it's
it is by
yours-
date
it's
by
yours
each
now,
committee.
you can
I
organize it how
know.
you want.
No, it's fine. I think
Thank
you're
you.
right, Jen.
I just updated mine.
All right. Anybody have anything else on the secretary report? All right, Amy.
Yes, oh, yes, what's in our inbox? Sorry, I'm like finishing other things. Okay, so we had some email this week. And again, just the goal of this segment of our meeting is to just give a little insight into some of the communications we receive from the community. We had some emails with questions, comments, ideas regarding Halloween celebrations during the school day. I had some good conversations and an opportunity to plug the Friends groups, which, my children went to the Winthrop School, and the Friends group there does a really awesome job putting on a Halloween party on the Friday night for Halloween that we always enjoyed. So hopefully people take this as an opportunity to get more involved with Friends groups if they aren't already. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts on that topic. Okay.
Sorry.
Some comments on the superintendent's contract that we just voted on came through. And then we received some emails in strong opposition to the letter that was read to the committee from a member of the community last meeting regarding progress flags in school. The emails we most recently got were in support of the flags being in school. And that is my report.
Sounds like what I got.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, to you, Eric.
Okay. A couple of things I wanted to talk about and trying to just not make this too much information, but the state recently released their vision of a graduate. They have a separate committee running under the guise of the governor. And this is hard to explain, but they were trying to come up with a way to unify school districts across the state and decided the vision of a graduate would be the way to go. The hard thing is that a lot of school districts through the NEASC process had already done this work. So they released it anyway. They released their vision, and they are now looking at what measures will take place. So their committee continues to look at this and dig into some of the ways they can, you know, they'll be able to measure each segment of the vision of the graduate. Again, this was run by the governor's office, not by DESE. DESE has very little involvement. They sit at the table. They have not been giving us any guidance or any direction. So there is a concern at the school level to try to figure out, okay, what do we do next? They're supposed to be opening up some more opportunities for people to chime in about this process, what they've released so far with questions. Like, we have a lot of questions here about, okay, what about our vision of a learner that is very clearly connected to this, but does one supersede the other? The word we're getting back from Patrick Chutweiler, who's the Secretary of Education, is not to worry too much about it. It's not going to supersede at school level. We're just trying to help connect the dots for all schools. So there'll be more coming from this. They're just trying to figure out a graduation standard to say Massachusetts kids are here, here, and here. And again, the hard part is a lot of that work was already done at the school level for high school specifically, but a lot of school districts have started to adopt it down into the lower grades like we are. So stay tuned, but I just wanted you to know that the state just released that, and there's more to come. The opportunity for Chapter 70, superintendents and the MASS, MASC, all the fairly substantial groups in the state have been trying to lobby the State House to get changes in the Chapter 70 funding formula. It is a uniquely complex formula that no one could actually sit down and draw out, but the superintendents have been begging because certain parts of the formula leave some districts short. Rural districts are the best example. They tend to lose funding, and bigger districts like Worcester, Boston tend to gain on it. There have been some shifts over the years where the Student Opportunity Act was one shift to try and get more money to the states. But now the State House is willing to listen and hear what people have to say about it. So they've opened up a number of listening sessions. They're all listed here. You can go, we can go. I'll be at Masco if you want to go. I just think it's important for us to be out there as part of the legislative committee. I connect MASS with the North Shore Superintendent's Roundtable, so I'll kind of be working in the middle of that to try to figure out, what other schools. It's really such a complex issue that seems to be leaving some districts short based on a number of things. Equalized housing values, number of kids in families that meet poverty levels. So there's all kinds of number of L's that you have. You can lose a lot of money by losing a lot of L students in one shift. So there's some interesting shifts that take place. So the state has finally opened up the opportunity to get some information. So we are trying to just get as many people out there as possible to go to these. There's one online. There's one Tuesday, November 18th. It's a virtual one. So even if you go and just listen to see what some of the other schools are dealing with Chapter 70 along the way. So we'll be part of it, and I'll bring back any information I can find.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for doing all that.
There's one other thing that didn't make it only because it came out last night was the state was looking at 9C cuts, which are cuts that would occur in the state budget if there was a projection that we wouldn't meet the budget. So if we were going to go over budget or revenues didn't match where they thought they should be, there's an opportunity around now to make what they call 9C cuts to the budget to keep it balanced. There are none occurring. There was some worry last week that there were going to be some cuts, but revenues are above last year's standards, so that's good. It goes up and down. Each month we try and track that, but yesterday we were notified that there are no cuts, so right now state revenues will stay as projected in the budget.
Thank you. And I'll just say to the committee, I did see that on the if you're on the MASC listserv.
Yeah.
I don't know if you are yet, if you're on the so if you go to MASC, you can get on the listserv. I think you have to actually log in, like say what district you are from and everything. But the listserv a lot of things come out, but that's definitely one of them.
It's a big item right now.
So, all right. Anybody have any questions or anything for Eric?
No.
All right, I feel like I've said just about everything I need to say.
Okay. Some good questions, Sandy.
Thanks. Yeah, so unless anyone has any questions for me, I don't have anything. All right, topics for future meetings?
Well, we'll bring back the competency
Okay, yep.
policy at some point.
Yep. Yep, great.
No? Okay. I moved to adjourn at 9:39 PM.
Second.
Second.
All right, we'll give it to Megan. All those in favor? And we are adjourned at 9:30.